Would you please stand for the Miami Trace Marching Band, and then please remain standing for the playing of the Miami Trace Alma Mater.
Kimberly. Tons of practice. One chop away from a black belt. 7 of the best sidekicks. And 5 years since her cancer diagnosis at Ohio Health.
Week 6 of the high school football season and week 1 of FAC competition kicks off tonight, and we've got a good one, a star-studded matchup to open up the league slate. It's the Chillicothe Cavaliers facing the undefeated Miami Trace Panthers here at Tony's Welding and Fabrication Stadium on the campus of Miami Trace High School. Good evening and welcome to tonight's presentation of Ohio High School football on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health. Carson Francis and Shane Combs with you as always. Shane, this has been a matchup that we thought coming into the season could be one to watch out for, and now coming into this game, given where these two teams are, it's going to be an exciting one for sure.
Well, I would certainly think so, and it's always good to be with you, Carson. It's going to be a beautiful football Friday night here. What an incredible facility this is here at Miami Trace. If you're not able to get out to a game tonight, sit back, relax, and like you said, here on the beautiful turf field, I think we've got a really good one for you. Knowing these two schools and football programs the way we do over last year into this year, I think everything points towards what should be a really competitive game. You look back to a year ago, and Miami Trace there, I think it was week 9, Chillicothe comes away with a big win, and that's got to kind of be in the memory bank there of Miami Trace as they come in on homecoming this year, a 5-0 start. And then Chillicothe, that was a really young football team that was starting to play some of its best football at the end of last year, and I think that's translated into this year's 3-2 start, and they're playing some really good football. I liked your opening there, star running back, star offensive line play on both sides, and you add it all up, it should be a really, really competitive football game.
Last season, these two met down in Chillicothe, a 28-25 final in favor of the Cavaliers. Carte Ligon, the man who we'll talk about a lot tonight, had 4 total touchdowns in that upset win. Chillicothe was just 1-7 going into that game. Miami Trace had just come off a loss to Jackson that kind of eliminated them from the FAC title race. Chillicothe coming in playing spoiler, stole a win from Miami Trace on their home field. And like you said, Shane, the undefeated Panthers, they'd like to get this one back.
Well, there's no question. And you mentioned Chillicothe there in the record, but I would argue that they were starting to play some really, really good football. You can kind of see this year's success coming. They opened the year as they did this year. They opened the year last year there with Bloom Carroll and in London, and a year ago, I think I wouldn't get complaints from anybody that schools like Wilmington, Western, Brown, Portsmouth West, all a little stronger a year ago than they are this year. So they were certainly tested throughout their schedule. Lost a heartbreaker to Courthouse a year ago. So by the time they got to week 9, I think they had really started to grow up. And you're right, Carte Ligon's a special athlete. We'll talk plenty about that this evening. But on that particular night, he found the end zone 4 times, and that proved to be 3 points good enough.
And Carte Ligon has been the talk of the town throughout all Southeast Ohio, especially these last 3 weeks. He's tallied over 100 yards on the ground just in their last 3 games, and he's carried them from 0-2 to 3-2 now, and it'll be exciting to watch him play on a really big stage tonight.
Well, no question about it. You know, on the other side, you know, it's going to be a back and forth with him and the Baker kid, and I know we'll talk about him as well. But you're right, on the Chillicothe side, you get a lot of confidence knowing that you've got someone in your backfield that can hit the home run at any time. And listen, they've got a lot of kids that have really grown from a year ago. So there's some guys up front doing the blocking, and there's some other guys that will get involved in the skill game. Defense is much improved. So I'm sure Chillicothe comes in with a lot of confidence this evening.
And now the home team, Miami Trace, at 5-0 on the season. We saw them in the season opener down at Waverly, where Julian Baker had his name written all over that one, ran for 354 yards in that game, a 42-21 win over the Tigers. Last week against Western Brown, a 35-27 win. 19 carries, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. And when you put up those kind of numbers and it's a quiet game for you, that just goes to show how great of a year you're having. He's got 800 total yards on the ground.
Well, and that's going to kind of be the story tonight. I don't know that you're going to come in and just completely stop these types of athletes that are going to be running in the backfield, especially if they're able to accumulate up to 20-plus carries. I think the word is contained. I think you got to get them under control. I think you got to limit the home run. But as you're doing that, if you are giving up the 3, 4, 5, 6 yards at a pop, I think the second thing you talk about after the big play is you don't want to be on the wrong side of a 2-1 or a 3-1 time of possession type of thing, because as you and I witnessed firsthand in that Waverly game, that can really start to wear on you into the third and fourth quarter when you're trying to tackle a running back at that level.
And for Miami Trace, too, you've got other guys in your backfield on your offense that are capable of making plays. We've seen Cooper Enix throughout the season. He had a good game last week, 4 KDs, 87 yards, and a score. They've got guys like Jansen Smith, Joe Reinscheld, Weston Dawes, who can all carry the ball or do some type of offensive production when given the chance to. Baron Phipps under center, a great runner as well. This is a Miami Trace team that, although Baker kind of takes the spotlight, they've got a lot of other guys that can also make things happen.
No question about it. John Bruce and I just talked about on Overtime, underrated, underappreciated type of players. And I mentioned, Weston Dawes, and I think Cooper Enix and some of those other guys you mentioned there in the Miami Trace attack would certainly have been proper to add to that list. They're going to come at you in a lot of different ways. And then don't overlook the passing game tonight. Both teams won't necessarily throw it a bunch, but when they do throw it, it's usually off of really good play fakes, and a lot of times they can hit the home run with the pass play as well.
And that's how Miami Trace kind of utilized Julian Baker last week. Miami Trace only threw 1 pass last week, and it was a halfback pass from Julian Baker to Jansen Smith for a 42-yard score.
That's a perfect example, because you get all those eyeballs in the back of into the backfield, and tonight you'll see it on Baker, you'll see it on Carte Ligon. Look for a little bit of the play fake into the passing game, maybe in a trick play, as you say, that could really flip momentum somewhere throughout. That's something the kids got to be really prepared for, which I'm sure they have been in the film session this week.
So both teams getting ready to take the field for the first time tonight. It's homecoming at Miami Trace High School. We got to watch the homecoming court honored before the start of tonight's game. Chillicothe and Miami Trace both getting set to take the field. This Miami Trace team undefeated, off to a red-hot start in 2025, but they're still looking for some redemption after a heartbreaking defeat at the hands of the Cavaliers last season. Here come the Miami Trace Panthers. Head coach Jerry Williams in his 9th season, off to his best start in his time at Miami Trace, and the Cavaliers on the other end. Taking the field for the first time tonight. This is a team that has seen a lot of ups and downs over their time in high school, but this has been their best season yet so far, and they love nothing more than to start off their FAC slate with a win over an undefeated Miami Trace team.
Well, no question. I think you always come into the start of league play at that 0-0 and with a great optimism. So I think that's the case no matter what. But then you throw in Miami Trace perfect 5-0, Chillicothe now winners of 3 straight. I think that adds to the excitement tonight because both teams coming in with a high level of expectation to get that 1-0 start in FAC play.
Chillicothe won the toss, and they elected to take the ball first. Shane, do you like the strategy of, especially when you've got a team with as much talent as Chillicothe has offensively, you got to like your chances taking the ball right out of the jump?
I think every game's different. Every situation's a little different. I like it tonight from the standpoint of it's aggressive. You're going to come right out and on the road. You're going to try to strike first, and I think if you can do so, that would give a lift to your sideline, a lift to your crowd, and really give your defense a little bit more confidence taking the field. Now, if you're Miami Trace coming out on homecoming night, if the defense here on special teams, starting with field position, then the defense, if you're able to get a stop, particularly early in the drive to where you can really win some field position, that could be a big factor as well.
Cavaliers led by head coach T.J. Carper in his 5th season overall. His first at the helm of the Cavaliers, spent 3 seasons at Vinton County before going to Zanesville last season. He was a 2-time Southeast District Coach of the Year when he was at Vinton County. And he's said all year long he's looking to get Chillicothe back into the top half of the FAC where they're competing for league titles every year. And as I've mentioned, no better way to start.
Yeah, really familiar with his time at Vinton County. Did a real nice job. They were playing in the TVC Ohio at the time, and comes in. He's a dynamic leader, and again, you can kind of feel a little bit of the energy that he inherits a team that's got some pretty good experience and some extra talent added in, and certainly has them playing well.
Cam Thorman, the freshman, out to kick it away for Miami Trace. Chillicothe with 2 returners back there. It's Jeremy Kane and Carte Ligon lined up at the 10 to field the opening kick.
Two dynamic return men. Obviously, we highlighted Carte Ligon in the pregame. Jeremy Kane, a terrific athlete, played in the Paint Valley program last year. Ironically, for Coach Dye, who's now the defensive coordinator down here on the near sideline for Miami Trace.
Thorman to boot it away. It's the Panthers and the Cavaliers to open up FAC play. This squib kick fielded at the 30 and being returned to about the 38-yard line. That was Jordan Suwanasinghe on the return end. The Cavaliers will start with possession at their own 38.
Sorry, there, Cardsy. Suwanasinghe, they're good hands. You're obviously trying to kick it away from those 2 elite return men, and as a result, the good hands from Suwanasinghe gives them pretty good field position to start here, just shy of the 40-yard line.
The junior quarterback, Tay Harris, taking the snaps for the Cavaliers, took over for the injured Andrew Hammond in the second half of their Week 2 game at London, 1st and 10. Here's a handoff to Ligon. Ligon trying to get to the outside. He gets stopped at the line of scrimmage. Hayden Cornell, the safety, coming up and making the play for a gain of 1.
Yeah, nice job on the edge there. That's what you want to do. You can't let him turn the corner. You got to try to flatten that play out. Pretty good job there on the left side of the defense.
Now 2nd down. Harris swing pass out to Kane. Kane on the far sideline, flag down behind the play.
Looks like holding on Chillicothe is the early indication there. Let's get the official call here.
Get a holding call against the Cavaliers. That'll back him up after the short gain by Jeremy Kane.
Got Carter Williams there on the hold, and going to go from 3rd and manageable to 2nd and long here. Pretty big play early in the game.
Call it 2nd and 16. Harris rolling out. He's looking downfield. He's got Kane open and completed. He picks up a 1st down near midfield, taken down by a couple Panthers on the near sideline. Good pickup and good connection from Harris to Kane.
Yeah, nice job, about 17 yards. He had about 3 layers of routes there, and it was really good patience. He rolled out, had good protection. Gets Kane there. Kane does a good job of putting the ball away to take the hit, and looks like we're going to have another one bring this one on back. I think we had a man downfield on the rollout there.
We talked before the game with some other guys who were here. We were talking about one of the keys for Chillicothe is can they avoid those penalties, those drive killers? See if they can dig themselves out of their own hole. And another penalty this time before the snap. It's 3 straight penalties now by Chillicothe.
Early timeout, too, and you obviously don't see this very often, but I think Chillicothe coaching staff recognizes I don't know. Sometimes a hold call, Carson, can just be a kid working hard and just getting caught on the hold. The last 2 are probably a little bit more of a unforced execution type mistake, wouldn't you agree? And in those cases, those are the things that drive you nuts as a coach. So you come out, and what was going to be 3rd and short turned into 2nd and long, and since then now it's 2nd and longer.
This Chillicothe team started 0-2 with losses to Bloom Carroll and London. They've had arguably one of the toughest non-league schedules in Southeast Ohio. They then went home against Wilmington, Portsmouth West, and Western Brown. And that's where they picked up their 3 wins, but not easy by any means.
Well, certainly really good programs. Now, seeing those teams on the road last year, that they were certainly better a year ago than they are this year. But I think you also throw in the fact that Chillicothe is much improved from last year. And as a result, they were able to flip those 3 games and get off to the 3-2 start.
2nd down and 27. Harris drops back. There's a screen to the outside to Carter Williams, but he's stood up and he's going nowhere. Weston Doss making the play right on the catch, and it's 3rd and long.
Yeah, we just highlighted him, as I said on the podcast show. Just does so many things right. That time in the right spot, good square up on the stop there, and Chillicothe trying to get just a little bit back on that little short pass, little short screen type play, and Dahl's right there to make sure that doesn't happen.
A 3rd and 25, orbit motion from Carter Williams. Harris looking downfield for Kane. It's incomplete. And what a hit. Jansen Smith lays the lumber just as the ball got to Kane, and it's 4th down.
Job of Smith timing that up there. Kane had to go up into the air to get that one a little bit, so the hit kind of jars it loose. It was going to be well short anyway, but certainly would have helped a little bit on field position on this punt play.
4th and a mile. Tay Harris will punt it away for the Cavaliers. Austin Brown, the return man for Miami Trace. It's a good boot by Harris towards the far sideline. Takes a Miami Trace bounce, and it's down by Jeremy Kane.
Good hustle from Kane there. If he misses that ball looked like it was going to take a Miami Trace bounce and maybe a couple.
At their own 48, excellent field position for the Panthers. Barron Phipps to take the snap. Here's a handoff to Julian Baker. Baker trying to weave through traffic. Flag is down. A nice carry from Baker, but it will come back.
Chillicothe had 20 yards of penalties on that first drive. Miami Trace already giving 10 away here on this drive.
They'll make it 1st and 19, and now a stoppage in play is have an equipment issue for Miami Trace.
Might add that mouthpiece out. I know they get pretty picky on that.
Here's a first down snap again. It's Baker on the handoff, and I think there was a little miscommunication there when the snap was taken. I don't think that many people moved.
Well, I thought at first it was on purpose, like a trick play, but I think you're right. You know, they snap it at about 2 or 3 offensive linemen went, and the others decided not to.
I'll call it no gain on the carry from Julian Baker. 2nd and 19. Phipps in the shotgun. Here's another handoff to Baker. Baker trying to go up the middle, and he's stopped by a herd of Cavaliers, but he's pushed forward, gain of about 9. And that brings Miami Trace to 3rd and much more manageable.
Yeah, good finish on the run there. You'll see that from Baker all night. That's what's so impressive. 5'11", 200 pounds. Seems like he's always falling forward, picking up an extra yard or two, and you do get back to the 3rd and just a little bit more manageable. Big opportunity for Chillicothe to force a punt here if they can get a stop.
3rd and 10 from the Miami Trace 48. See the Cavaliers stacking the box here, anticipating a run. 3rd down snap, it's Baker again. Baker gets a few yards, but he doesn't get much more. Good job by this Cavalier defense, stopping the elusive Julian Baker for a gain of only about 3 yards.
Yeah, it really was. You know, he's so hard to bring down in the one-on-one situation. So the first guy's got to be able to get there just to slow him down. But it's so important that you don't assume and that you fly to the football. Always got to be aware here in these 4th and, kind of medium range things here to make sure that they don't run something on the fake on you. So they'll line up pretty normal here.
They line up normal and back into punt formation. Phipps to boot it away. Carte Ligon, the return man for Chillicothe. And a delay of game against the Panthers.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty.
That'll back them up and probably give them some more room to punt.
Yeah, you don't see that at the high school level as much, but again, you just know your punter. And the other thing, they might have decided just a little bit late, and rather than use a timeout, sometimes it's worth the 5 yards. But in this particular spot, I think you're right. Maybe just get a little bit more room. Let's see if he angles it away from the talented Ligon.
Phipps to boot it away. End over end kick. It's nowhere near Ligon, and it just bounces into the end zone for a touchback.
Carson, you were spot on, taking the 5 yards, trying to give him just a little bit more room, and that ball just takes in that case, a Chillicothe bounce because it bounces on into the end zone and keeps Chillicothe from starting with its back to the wall. Chillicothe come out 20 yards of penalties there on that first drive. See if you can win first down here and get ahead of the chains this time and open up the playbook.
1st and 10 at the 20. Here's a handoff to Ligon. Ligon up the middle, bulldozes a man and gets to the line to gain. It's a first down for the Cavaliers.
Wow, you talk about finishing a run. It's a little bit what we're talking about with Baker. That's a 7 or 8 yard run that turns into about 11 because of the way he just finishes it.
Now 1st and 10 at the 30. Harris is going to keep it himself. Quarterback draw. Harris trying to bounce off a defender. Gets maybe a yard or two before being driven back. Enix and Cam Morton, 2 of the Panthers, in on that tackle.
Like the call, though, on first down. It kind of gives the defense something else to look at. It's a positive gain.
We'll make it 2nd down and 6. Kevon Pleasant in motion. Here's a handoff to Ligon. Ligon trying to break free, dives forward, and it's another first down.
Going to give him about 8.
Carte Ligon in the past couple games has had north of 30, close to 40 carries per game. think they're trying to go with the same approach here?
Well, special athlete is certainly well prepared for this situation.
Here's a swing pass out to Jeremy Kane. Flag is down.
Carson, they've had some success getting the ball in Kane's hands, who's also a dynamic playmaker, but each time they do, they can't keep the flag from coming out.
Jeremy Kane, 8 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown on the season. As the penalty will drive the Cavaliers back. Carte Ligon started out the year. He was playing a lot of receiver, and he's actually had some success there. Had 17 catches for 219 yards and 2 scores on the season. But he's been a lot more effective in the run game, so they move him into the backfield, and that opens up guys like Jeremy Kane, Carter Williams, Kavon Pleasant in the passing game. Call it 2nd down and 6 for the Cavaliers. Harris going to keep it himself again. Quarterback draw, and he gets about a couple yards before being upended. That was Tyler Stevens in on the tackle. I'll make it 3rd and 3 for the Cavaliers at the 48. Harris in the shotgun, Ligon right behind him. Trace McAllister motions over to the left. Harris dropping back, got a man over the middle. It's caught. Pleasant off the deflection, and he holds onto it for a 1st down. Heads up play by Kavon Pleasant to move the chains for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, it really was. A nice job of just staying with it. It's so easy to lose the concentration when the ball's tipped there. Able to look it in, and again, the 3rd 1st down for Chillicothe on the drive. Starting to put together a nice drive here on the 2nd possession.
Cavaliers in enemy territory. 1st down carry from Ligon, and he's upended behind the line. Gage Henry was the first of the Panthers on the TFL. And a penalty flag down before the snap. Sideline warning on Miami Trace.
That is our first warning only.
Chillicothe's get on that plus side of the field. The other thing with offenses with these dynamic run games, if they do get into that 4 down territory, it just becomes that much more difficult to get off the field against them.
2nd and 11. Harris dropping back. He's taking a shot for Williams down the sideline, and it's caught. It's incomplete. Williams was out of bounds on the catch. A beautiful throw from Tay Harris. Couldn't keep Williams in bounds.
Yeah, it really was a nice ball. About 30, 40 yards downfield, up over top of the shoulder, just to the outside there. Pretty good recognition from Miami Trace. You're going to get some one-on-one opportunities to the outside because defenses against the Carte Ligon on one side, against Julian Baker on the other, are going to start to creep more people into the box.
3rd and 11. Harris in the shotgun, rolling out, looking to take a shot. He's under pressure now. Harris going to try and do something on his own. He gets hit at the 40 by Julian Baker. Gets a few on the improv, and Harris shaken up after the play. Julian Baker makes the tackle on the keeper. And Tay Harris slow to get up on that Chillicothe sideline.
Jackson Black, there was some good pressure. Harris made the first guy miss, and he started to roll out to the right side. Black kind of forced him out and turned him into a runner, maybe a little quicker than he wanted to. He still had his eyes downfield at that point, and then once he committed, obviously the great speed, the closing speed of Baker comes up and makes the stop. And here's one of those 4th down situations on the plus side of the field. If you're Chillicothe, certainly probably going to go stay aggressive here and go. Certainly nothing wrong with punting it down and trying to bury him, but just the aggressive nature that I've seen to this point, I would assume they'll line up and at least take a look at going for it.
Well, Harris held back up by the Chillicothe training staff. And now under center for the Cavaliers is Carter Williams. And Chillicothe looks like they're going to go for it on 4th and 6 at the 40. Williams to take the snap. Carte Ligon behind him. They hand it off. It's Ligon. Ligon getting to the near sideline. He breaks free. Ligon down the sideline. And he's gone. Touchdown, Cavaliers. A gutsy 4th down call by T.J. Carper and the Cavaliers. And Carte Ligon does his thing, a 40-yard score.
Yeah, 5th carry of the night goes 40 yards. You pretty much everybody in the house knows where the ball's going. You just had a quarterback situation on an injury, and they turn and hand it to him, and looks like he's just going to fight for that 5th or 6th yard to move the chain, and before you know it, he keeps his feet in bounds, turns it on all the way up the sidelines, and 40 yards later into the end zone.
Lucas Walls out to kick the extra point. For the Cavaliers, Carter Williams, the holder.
I think we have an official that came up hobbling just a little bit. They got him to the Miami Trace sideline. I think they're going to go and kick the extra point, and then we'll have to see. They're going to take a look at him.
High snap. Williams gets the hold down, and that kick is wide right. The PAT no good, but the Cavaliers have the lead after a 40-yard rush from Carte Ligon. 6-0 Cavaliers. You're watching Ohio High School football on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health.
For 175 years, the Glockner name has stood for trust. Today, that promise continues. Every time your family turns the key. Generations have trusted us for one reason. We never stopped caring. From preschool drop-offs to road trips, you leave our service center knowing your family is in the safest hands possible. 175 years of social proof that this isn't just service. It's a promise from our family to yours.
3:55 remaining here in the first quarter here at Tony's Welding and Fabrication Stadium. It's the Chillicothe Cavaliers on top of the Miami Trace Panthers, 6-0 after Carte Ligon does it from 40 yards out, and it looked like he was going to get pushed out of bounds, or he might not even get the first down, but he just bursts out of a cannon and goes the rest of the way.
Well, the first possession for both teams, the penalties kind of got in the way of anything getting going. Chillicothe gets it back the second time. They convert on about 3 first downs and then go for it on the 4th down. About 5 or 6 to go, and they turn it into a 40-yard touchdown run.
Pooch kick from Lucas Walls sails to the far sideline and bounces out of bounds. That'll be a penalty.
We'll see here on the second possession from Miami Trace if they, like Chillicothe, can clean up a few of the penalties here and play on the positive side of the chains. Again, that's so important because it just opens the playbook up. These teams aren't really made, especially on the Miami Trace side, they're not really made for the 2nd and 14, 3rd and 12 type of downs. So it's, winning first down becomes really, really important.
Miami Trace back out for its second offensive possession of the night. And on that first possession, it seemed like Chillicothe had the Miami Trace run game snuffed out. We'll see how the Panthers respond. Phipps back to pass, taking a shot downfield for Smith. It's intercepted. What a play by the Chillicothe defense. That is Jason Riley going up and making the grab. And the Cavaliers have the ball back.
Outstanding play. A lot of times on the defensive side, you see the athleticism, but you won't see the hands. That time, that young man goes up and makes a great play on the football. Miami Trace comes out, puts Baker in some motion and trying to draw some attention, and they're going to throw it and take a shot. Chillicothe ready for it, and what an opportunity for the Cavaliers here early.
Jansen Smith was definitely open on that go route down the sideline. Ball was underthrown, gave Riley enough time to come back and make the grab. Now Chillicothe is 1st and 10 at the 39. It's a handoff to Ligon. Ligon lowers his shoulder, and he won't go down easily. roughed out of bounds near midfield.
Yeah, and it's about 7 there. You know, they make so much about him being a little taller, and I think that's why a lot of people say wide receiver. But if you watch him at the point of contact, Carson, he gets really low and athletic and really finishes the run. It's an impressive thing to watch.
I'll call it 2nd and 3 for the Cavaliers. There's another handoff to Ligon. Ligon this time up the middle, gets the first down. Taken down by a couple Panthers. Hayden Cornell, one of them, as well as Jansen Smith.
He starts getting 7, 8 a pop. That's when it starts to really wear on you. Outstanding job up front. Rutherford, McGlone, Speakman, Scales, and Day right now doing a great job opening up some holes for their talented sophomore back.
New set of downs for the Cavaliers. 3:23 remaining. Harris dropping back to pass. Here's a screen to Jeremy Kane. Kane up the middle. Gets near the marker, but a few yards short. Nice little pitch and catch. And a good run after by Jeremy Kane.
Yeah, and right now Chillicothe dominating first down. That's what we talked about, how important that was.
Call it 2nd and 3 at the 34. Here's a handoff. It's Carte Ligon again. Carte gets hit but gets forward for another first down, and that's something we've seen throughout this first quarter. Carte takes an initial hit, but he still makes it into a positive gain.
Well, it starts to wear on you, kind of like a heavyweight fight. You know, they stopped him for 1 yard on one of the runs, a -1 on one of the yards, but then you look, 11, 8, 40 was the touchdown, 7, 8, 4. It starts to just wear on you a little bit at a time, and you get into this 4-down territory. If Chillicothe keeps the flag off the field, it really becomes impossible to stop them.
1st and 10 at the 30. Harris to throw. It's incomplete. Jansen Smith in on the coverage. Chillicothe might have wanted some pass interference called on there, but the refs will say it was clean. Good coverage by Jansen Smith.
Smith's quite an athlete. That's a tough matchup with the speed of Kane out there in the flat, and does a pretty good job of competing in that matchup there.
Now 2nd and 10 from the 30. They're going to hand it off to Ligon. Ligon trying to get to the outside. Some initial contact from Cooper Enix in the backfield. He gets wrestled out of bounds and some contact after the play. I think Weston Doss might have had some extra contact after Ligon was already out of bounds, and that will add some yards to the end of the play.
As of now on the run, it was about a 1-yard gain.
Personal foul, number 44 on the defense. Late hit out of bounds. First down.
Late hit penalty on Weston Dawson. You know, we talk about penalties being drive killers for offenses, but defense, it's just as key to not have any of those penalties that can give the opponent some new life.
No question. That would have been 3rd and 9.
Now it's 1st and 10 at the 13. Loaded backfield for the Cavaliers. It's a handoff to Kane. Kane trying to go opposite side, and he gets taken down at the sideline by Cooper Enix. Good hustle by Enix to make the play. 3 tackles in the last game, a win over Western Brown.
Looked like Coach Dye, defensive coordinator Miami Trace, dialed up a little run blitz there, but the quickness of Kane recognized it and kicked it outside and was able to get 2, maybe even 3 yards.
Now 2nd and 7 for the Cavaliers. Jet McAllister now in the backfield. Kane motions, shovel pass to Kane. Kane trying to get to the outside. Now he cuts it back and falls forward after a gain of about 4.
About 4. I know a lot of times they'll refer to that as a pass. I know there's a lot of debate on that in terms of football statistics. Nonetheless, here 3rd and call it maybe a long 2, short 3. Big situation here for Miami Trace defense. see if they sell out on the run game.
Cavaliers looking to go up 2 scores, 3rd and 3. Hand off to Ligon. Ligon up the middle. It's going to be close, but I think they'll say he was just shy of the marker.
Yeah, the far official has him about a half yard short, and I can go ahead and bet the house where this ball's going to go.
Give Julian Baker credit on the tackle. 4th and 1 at the Miami Trace 4. Cavaliers knocking on the door once again.
Miami Trace takes away the middle. Let's see if Chillicothe gets it to the edge.
Trace McAllister motions to the right. Here's a handoff to Ligon. Ligon picks up the first. Does not get into the end zone, but gives the Cavaliers a new set of downs.
Yeah, great job up front. Tyson Speakman there on the center position. Truett McGlone on that left guard. Connor Rutherford left tackle. And they just, again, Ligon gets so low at the point of attack, and his quickness just kind of sneaks his way through there. And they're going to let the quarter run out, and Chillicothe is going to be in a prime position to go up 2 scores here to start the second quarter.
Cavaliers 2 yards out from going up 2 scores as we are at the end of the first quarter for Miami Trace. Chillicothe leading the Panthers 6-0 after 1. You're watching Ohio High School football on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health.
Kimberly. Tons of practice. 1 chop away from a black belt. 7 of the best sidekicks. And 5 years since her cancer diagnosis at Ohio Health.
Second quarter set to get underway here for Miami Trace. It's Chillicothe leading the Panthers 6-0. Carte Ligon, the star of the show tonight. He's got a 40-yard touchdown rush, and he's set up the Cavaliers on the doorstep of the end zone once again. It'll be 1st and goal at the 2 for the Cavaliers. Shane, what have you liked so far about Chillicothe offensively?
Well, after that first drive, I just liked that they got out of their own way and started to utilize the talent of Ligon. They've mixed in the athleticism of Kane. They've been able to run the quarterback just to keep it honest. Now the big thing here for Chillicothe, stay away from the unforced penalty that'll back you up. You're going to be awfully hard to stop if you do.
1st and goal at the 2. Kevon Pleasant orbit motion and a flag.
Just what I'm talking about right there.
The illegal movement by the Cavaliers.
See what I'm saying there, Carson, is, like you what's the percentages of you stopping Ligon in the run game on 4 downs from that point? Well, all of a sudden now you move back 5. That doesn't mean he still can't score, but it certainly gives the defense a better opportunity.
Pleasant tried to motion from his left to right. He hesitated there, and that's where the refs said that can't happen. Now 1st and goal from the 7. Ligon now standing behind Harris. Trace McAllister motions to the right. Here's a snap, handoff to Ligon. Ligon up the middle, and he's stuffed. Adam Guthrie, the Clemson commit, stops Ligon in his tracks.
Yeah, nice job by Guthrie there to win the point of attack. Obviously, when the defensive lineman's able to do that, that also means that linebacker's probably going to flow freely to the football, and they were able to get a few hats to the ball there and stop of no gain.
2 receivers to the right side of Tay Harris. Jeremy Kane, orbit motions. Harris drops back to throw. Got a man in the end zone. It's broken up and incomplete. Pass intended for Jeremy Kane on the slant route. Good coverage by Miami Trace, and it's 3rd and goal.
So follow the sequence here, all made possible by the penalty. You stop the run on 1st down, then they decide to throw it on 2nd. Again, the kicking game's been, up and down for the Cavs. We saw the extra point, not able to convert. So I'm going to assume this is 2-down territory.
Absolutely. Now 3rd and goal for the Cavaliers, looking to go up 2 scores. Harris Rolling out to his right, sets his feet, fires to the end zone, and it's caught for a touchdown. Jeremy Kane makes the grab in the end zone, and the Cavaliers go up 2 scores early in the second quarter.
Outstanding. Good ball, low and away where only his guy can get it, and Kane goes down and shows some great hands and athleticism to haul that in. That's a big-time play.
Second receiving touchdown on the year for Jeremy Kane. And Chillicothe will go for 2 to try and make it an even 14-0. Ligon behind Harris. Harris fakes the handoff, finds Trace McAllister on the flat. McAllister into the end zone for the 2-point conversion. Great play design by the Cavaliers. Fake handoff to Ligon. You find your big tight end, Trace McAllister, for the 2-point conversion. And it's 14-0 Chillicothe. Early on in the second quarter, you're watching Ohio High School football on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health.
Since 1853, Tomlinson Insurance has been protecting families, farms, and businesses in our community. As an independent agency, we offer personalized coverage for your auto, home, farm, and business, plus health and life insurance too. And we proudly partner with Erie Insurance to give you peace of mind with reliable coverage at competitive rates. Tomlinson Insurance. Let our history be your future. Call us today at 740-773-4181 or visit us at tomlinsonins.com.
A 7-yard touchdown pass from Tay Harris to Jeremy Kane puts the Cavaliers up 2 scores here in the second quarter. Shane, we talked about Miami Trace using their other weapons on offense, but that's what Chillicothe did on that last drive.
Yeah, they really did. Jeremy Kane's been a big factor in the game plan here tonight, and McAllister on the 2-point catch. And time for Miami Trace to respond.
Squib kick from Lucas Walls, fielded by Jake Reinscheld just past the 35-yard line. Now Miami Trace, not panic time yet, but just haven't been able to get much on offense. You got stuffed in the run game your first drive, and then first play of drive number 2, you throw a pick.
Well, on that second possession, I'm sure it's something they've seen on film, and they've wanted to try to go take a shot, and that's not really in their character. And as a result, it's one thing to take the shot and miss, but it's another thing to throw the pick, because now you give up an entire possession, and still early enough to where you can stay true to your identity, but as you get into the second half, the Miami Trace team's not really built to play from way behind.
Cavaliers just one high safety. Here's a first down handoff to Baker. Baker trying to get through traffic, gets a couple yards before he's wrestled down. This is Rucker Deddy in on the tackle. Call it a gain of about 4 for Julian Baker.
Well, and Miami Trace has the same ability as Chillicothe. The difference is because of the makeup of the game so far, it's only Baker's 4th carry, and we're a couple minutes into the second quarter. So Miami Trace just needs to possess the football and try to go to their bread and butter as well.
Baker again in the backfield behind Phipps, second down. Here's a handoff to Baker. Again, Baker trying to get past the defender, but he's upended after a gain of about 2. Carte Ligon and Jordan Swanesing in on the tackle.
Big play here, because these types of third down plays make for tough decisions if you don't convert because you're shy of midfield. Again, if you get into the plus side of the field, that's where you become really dangerous and difficult to stop.
Chillicothe packing that box once again. They know where they think the ball is going. Handoff to Baker. Again, Baker trying to bounce it outside, gets past the sticks, and just enough to move the chains. Pruitt McGlone on the tackle, but not before Julian Baker fights his way to a first down.
I think that's Miami Trace's first down of the game.
And that's what you need to see if you're Miami Trace. You haven't seen your run game break out like you want to, or like you've seen it happen over the past couple games. It's a nice little confidence booster, just getting a couple yards to move the chains.
Well, I just like how they got stubborn with their identity. There was about 8 or 9 guys in the box there, and they didn't care. They just went ahead and decided to run the ball anyway.
1st and 10 at their own 48. Phipps, he's going to keep it himself. He gets a couple yards before being tackled at midfield. Jet McAllister, the senior linebacker, in on that tackle.
Nice little wrinkle when Baker's come in the motion there. We've now seen a couple different things off that. That's the formation they took the shot out of, and then that time the quarterback keeps it. Let's look for some different wrinkles off of that throughout the evening.
McAllister, 22 tackles on the season coming into this game. One of the senior leaders on this Chillicothe defense. Call it 2nd and 7 from the 49. Enix motions to the right. Phipps hands it off. It's Baker. Again, Baker through contact gets wrestled down from behind. Truett McGlone in on the tackle. Call it a pickup of about 5.
Now I feel like you do get closer to that 4-down territory. So, again, you can continue to grind your run game. Miami Trace will come at you in a lot of different ways. The one thing we watched back in week 1 was the outstanding ball handling of the quarterback Phipps. So look for some of the read option type of things, too, with Baker in the backfield with him.
Miami Trace brings an extra blocker in, number 54, Dane Wilt. Here's a handoff to Baker. Baker breaks free. Here goes Julian Baker. He gets tripped up after a huge gain inside the 30. He stays on his feet. That's probably 6 points.
Yeah, about 18 yards. That was well called on your part, Carson. Wilt really threw a nice block as he led the hole there. And then, obviously, when you get Baker up to full speed and starting to play downhill, that's where he just becomes a bear to get to the ground.
We see Miami Trace finally starting to get its rhythm in the run game. Now at the Chillicothe 28, can they turn this into points?
Also gives your defense full chance to run. It looks like they're going to go ahead and take a timeout here on the Miami Trace side.
Maybe a chance to give this offense a breather after they've been just pounding it down Chillicothe's throat on this drive. In the explosive run from Julian Baker, we've seen him break off so many of those over the years. That week 1 game in Waverly, 4 touchdowns, 2 of them were above 80 yards.
Well, and remember what we talked about in our pregame coverage. We talked about how in a heavyweight fight, it's kind of like you're chopping away, and then the later rounds it just wears on you. If you remember in that Waverly game, so many of those big runs started to come in that 3rd and 4th quarter where the defense starts to wear, and that's why I thought the first quarter really favored Chillicothe, because I believe Baker only had 3 carries in that first quarter. Miami Trace just now moving the chains for the first time in the game on this drive, and they've been able to do so about 3 times, and now in a great position to go 4-down territory. What you're talking about here is execution. You got to stay away from the pre-snap penalties.
Miami Trace unbeaten so far, but they've had their fair share of tests. 3 of their 5 wins have been 1-score games, including last week at Western Brown. They also faced a Wilmington team that took Chillicothe down to the wire last week. Loaded backfield for the Panthers on 1st and 10. Doss to the left of Baron Phipps, Baker to the right. They've used Weston Doss a lot in the run game here as well, but they'll go to Baker on 1st down. Baker to the outside. Baker through traffic, bowling balls a man, and picks up a nice gain, but a flag down in the Miami Trace backfield.
Yeah, right around the 31. That's in that area of where he gets to the edge of some sort of a grab or a hold. Let's see what they come up with here. This could end up being about a 25, 30-yard penalty.
Yeah, Shane, you called it that Miami Trace couldn't afford a big penalty, but they suffer one there.
And you know what I mean by the 30 or 40-yard penalty is, I know it goes down on the stat sheet as 10, but I mean you look now, you're coming all the way back to the 38 where he had went all the way down inside. What would you say about the 15 there? So I mean, like, look at the difference in your field position, and now the down and distance is first and forever.
Now they'll make it 1st and 20, pistol set for Miami Trace. There's another handoff to Baker. Baker gets wrestled behind the line of scrimmage and goes down after no gain or a gain of 1. Nate Sism was the first Cavalier to Baker, and he slowed him down, let the rest of his defense get there and clean him up.
And that's the key. You stuff the hole. Everybody stays true to their assignment, and you never let him get up to full speed. But now you got a chance to rally to the football and get him to the ground.
Julian Baker only 87 yards on the ground in the win over Western Brown last week. Chillicothe continuing to do its part to contain him. Now Enix in the backfield. They'll go to Baker again. Or no, Phipps keeps it, and Baron Phipps has some open room. Phipps cuts into the middle, and he will score. Touchdown, Miami Trace. 37-yard carry for Baron Phipps, and the Panthers are on the board.
That's what we talked about, the ball handling, right? You set him up, and then he just pulls that thing out of there, and he does such a good job. I know you and I had trouble following the football sometimes in that Waverly game earlier in the year. I thought he just did a super job of using the pitch and so forth, and that time he pulls it back and shows off some ability to hit the home run himself.
Phipps had a 61-yard touchdown carry last week in the Panthers' win. Takes that one from 39 yards out. The extra point from Cam Thorman to cut the deficit in half. Low snap, but he gets the kick away, and it splits the uprights, and good. A 39-yard keeper from quarterback Baron Phipps puts Miami Trace on the board. It's 14-7 Chillicothe. We'll step aside. You're watching Ohio High School football on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health.
At Chillicothe Comfort Heating and Air, your comfort is our priority year-round.
Whether it's blazing hot or freezing cold, we've got your back with fast, reliable service you can trust.
Locally owned, honest, and done right the first time.
We have financing options available for every budget, as well as 60 months, 0% interest.
Call us today and feel the difference that comfort makes.
14-7 your score from Miami Trace High School after a 39-yard touchdown run from quarterback Baron Phipps puts the Panthers on the board. Shane, we talked about briefly during the break a great run by Phipps, but great execution on the extra point.
Yeah, like you said on the call, there's a little bit of a low snap. Looked like Austin Brown did a good job with some hands and gets it up. And the other thing you like if you're Miami Trace is you're able to possess the ball there probably about almost 5 minutes. So you give the defense a second to just step back, take a deep breath. Now see if your special teams can win you some field position to see if you can figure out this Carte Ligon running attack and some of Jeremy Kane in the passing game.
Kane and Ligon back to return for Chillicothe. A squib kick, fielded and downed at the 30. And that's where Chillicothe will take over to start their next possession. You know, Shane, we saw Miami Trace on that last drive. They were down 2 scores early. They didn't panic. They stayed true to their identity, and it led them to 6 points.
Yeah, it really did. That's a great point, not to panic. Even when they went to first and what seemed like 40, they stayed to the run game, and you could tell they were setting it up. You know, Baker had been up to about 9 carries there, and Phipps finally pulled it back and ran one himself off the read option.
Cavaliers take over at their own 30. Kevon Pleasant orbit motions to the right side. Here's a handoff to Ligon. Ligon can't get his way through traffic and stuffed by a trio of Panthers. Gage Henry was one of them.
Yeah, much better job at the point of attack. Trying to run Ligon off the left side, and Black and Stevenson Morton doing a good job up front there to try to stuff the line of scrimmage.
Call it no gain on the carry from Carte Ligon. Ligon, only a sophomore. He's got a couple Division I offers in his pocket. Much more to come for sure. Here's another handoff to Ligon, and he's going down. This time he's backwards. Weston Doss, Cooper Enix, Joe Reinscheld all in on the stop, and it's quickly 3rd down.
Yeah, and another example there, what I'm talking about, the guys up front, you're calling out names of that linebacker core. When they're living in the backfield, obviously they're selling out, 1, but 2, the defensive line doing a pretty good job of competing there at the point of attack and just loading the box up.
3rd down and 11 for this Chillicothe offense. Trips to the near side. Miami Trace could use a huge stop on this 3rd down. Harris drops back, trying to go downfield. He's got nothing. He's got Williams open down the middle, and it's complete. Did he pick up the 1st down? Yes, he did. A broken play for the Cavaliers offense. Tay Harris finds Carter Williams to move the chains.
Great protection, just had all day to throw, and then, all he did is extend the play a little bit and threw a nice ball, needed 11, got 12.
Now 1st and 10 at the 42. Williams motions over to the left and a flag, illegal formation. Oh my goodness.
Lefty Williams going to throw it.
The play was not blown dead. They were setting up a pass for Kevon Pleasant down the sideline, and he was wide open. But they're going to say Chillicothe had too many men in their backfield. And a sigh of relief there for Miami Trace.
No question. Carter Williams, the lefty, they got him moving there to his strong hand, and then he was going to show off the arm a little bit. It was there. Again, just didn't quite execute the formation.
We saw Williams when Tay Harris went down earlier. We saw Carter Williams take a snap under center, and we see why there.
Carter Williams and Kayvon Pleasant, playing JV basketball last year and dressing some varsity, and you can really see a year's growth in them physically out here on the football field on Friday night. Impressive athletes.
Now 2nd down and 10 for the Cavaliers. Harris going to keep it himself. Harris up the middle, fights forward for a gain of a few yards. Actually a pretty nice carry there from the junior Tay Harris.
Both teams using that quarterback draw, basically just a straight run where they put their stud running back in motion, and you have to honor it because you never know when they're going to snap it and throw it out to them. And what that does is it loosens up the box and gives you a little bit more of a numbers game to run your quarterback up in there.
3.5 minutes till halftime. 3rd and 5 for the Cavaliers. Harris in the shotgun all by himself. Timeout, Miami Trace.
Timeout, Miami Trace. That is our 2nd choke shot back.
Jerry Williams burning his 2nd timeout. Williams in his 9th season at Miami Trace. He's led them to their best start since he's been there. 2 playoff wins in 2020 and in 2023. Expectations were sky high for Miami Trace, and so far they've lived up to them, but backs against the wall so far in this one.
Yeah, no question, and I like the timeout there. You could tell by their reaction on the way over. They didn't have them lined up correctly and weren't comfortable with what they were in at all. So 3rd down here, 3:24 to go in the half. Well worth the timeout if you think you're in a bad an alignment. I think that's a good use of the timeout.
And we saw Chillicothe on the drive that they scored their last touchdown. They used options other than their playmaker, Carte Ligon, on a 4th and 5 or 3rd and 5 rather, in your own territory. It'll be interesting to see what route the Cavaliers elect to go.
Had about 3 or 4 snaps, if you include the penalty where you've gone away from it a little bit. Looks like a throwing formation here.
Harris to throw on 3rd and 5. Under pressure, going for McAllister down the seam. It's incomplete. Not a bad throw, but missed McAllister by a few yards, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, Harris looked left to try to look the safety off. Then they're going to try to get McAllister there on a seam route. Had a window there, just thrown a little hard. A little heavy over the top there, and it looks like they're going to at least line up the punt. And if they are, that's a big, big win for Miami Trace.
Harris to punt for the Cavaliers, and Austin Brown, the return man for Miami Trace. High snap, Harris will boot it away. Sky high end over end kick. And it sails out of bounds near the 25. See where they spot it. It's going to be around the 30-yard line. Call it the 29. Miami Trace scored on their last drive a 39-yard carry from Baron Phipps. Again, they showed guys other than Julian Baker can make plays in the run game.
Well, they certainly can. It's all set up by what they established with Baker. And now with 3:11, they don't have forever. But keep in mind, this would be a great opportunity for them to double up because they're going to get the ball after the half. Because remember, CHS, they won the toss and they received.
Loaded backfield for Miami Trace. Phipps is going to keep it. Phipps stiff arms a man and gets to the sideline. Baron Phipps lowers his shoulder and picks up the first down. Baron Phipps, the sophomore quarterback, doing it with his legs, showing off the speed.
Well, and this is huge, too, because all this is going to do is force Chillicothe at some point to have to honor that on the edges a little bit. Well, you know what that's going to mean when you're running Baker inside. You're going to have a little bit of a looser box, which is going to make it that much more difficult to get him to the ground.
Pistol formation for Miami Trace. 1st and 10 at the 45. Phipps going to keep it again, fakes the toss, and this time he gets wrestled down after a gain of about a yard. Truett McGlone and Jet McAllister in on the stop.
Yeah, really good assignment football from Chillicothe there. They had the inside run, and then they went with the quarterback. They had the pitch covered and didn't fall for the fake pitch at all, and only a yard. And now the clock 2:35 and counting certainly could be a factor on the drive. Not quite yet, but could be here shortly.
We'll call it 2nd and 8. Phipps hands it off. It's Baker. Baker dives forward past the Chillicothe tackler. Gain of about 4.
So here on the 3rd down play, the clock's going to be right around 2 minutes by the time Miami Trace snaps it. This becomes a huge play because if you get it or decide to convert, then you can get a little bit more aggressive. If they lose yardage here, it brings up a really tough decision for Miami Trace.
Under 2 minutes to go in the first half of this FAC opener. Pistol set. Phipps takes a snap. He keeps it himself. Tosses it out to Enix. Enix has some room on the sideline. He's got blockers. Cooper Enix still on his feet. Enix down just before the 20-yard line. Cooper Enix. Physicality on that carry. Gain of 27.
Big time play from Phipps. I mentioned the ball handling that time. Chillicothe started to blow up their spacing a little bit, and he just basically, not really a pitch, just ended up throwing it out there to him.
6'3", 215, Cooper Enix showing off the legs. Here's a throw for Phipps, and it's complete. Jansen Smith catches it. 1st and goal for the Panthers. Taken down by Williams.
Well, and again, you're starting to see all the different layers of what the Miami Trace offense can do, and it's all off of the run game. It's all off the inside fake, and now as you come up on a minute, let's see if they go back to Baker down here in the red zone or if they continue to play off of some of the fakes.
Minute left in the first half. Here's a handoff to Baker. Baker gets stood up near the 2 and wrestled down just before the goal line.
Yeah, I think they got him right at the 1.
I'll spot it at the 2. 2nd down and goal for Miami Trace.
35 seconds and counting.
Pistol set again for the Panthers. And they get a flag down. I think a Cavalier might have jumped off sides. I saw Jeremy Kane trying to come up on a stun. I think he moved just a little too much.
You know, not the end of the world, but it's certainly a half yard closer when you're trying to stop Baker from getting in the end zone behind Guthrie there. Obviously, they've already has shown the ability for Phipps to pull it back and be a runner himself.
Second and goal at the half-yard line for Miami Trace. Pistol set, Baker behind Phipps. They hand it off, it's Baker. Baker fights forward. No signal yet. There's a pile at the goal line. We await the signal.
If not, they got to get the ball spotted.
And it's a touchdown, Miami Trace. Took long enough, but Julian Baker finds the end zone from a yard out. And an extra point away from a tie ball game.
Yeah, Miami Trace did have the timeout left, so they obviously had the chance to get one more play off. But while the decision was being made, the clock was a-ticking.
Thorman out to kick the extra point. This to tie the game with 14 seconds left in the half. Good snap, good hold. Kick is away and good. And we are all tied at 14 after Julian Baker finds the end zone from a yard out.
Couldn't draw it up any better time-wise either. If you're Miami Trace, you punch it in at 14 seconds. Now if you can avoid the big play in the special teams or maybe on one final snap from Chillicothe, you're going to get the football back to start the second half. And it was just, about 10 game minutes ago, you're staring up at the scoreboard and you're down 14-0. Now 14-14 and possession of the football coming out of the half. A lot of momentum for Miami Trace.
And what have you liked about how Miami Trace has responded offensively to the deficit?
Well, I think a lot of that's just a tradition of the program. You got a lot of great leaders, kids that have done a lot of winning. So you get down 14-0 in the first half. There's no panic. In the huddle, there's guys that have been there, done that, and they responded. And I thought that first score to get on the board, when Phipps pulled it back and went the distance, I thought that was just more than momentum, almost just a relief of just them settling into the game.
Thorman to kick it away from Miami Trace. He's 2 for 2 on his extra points tonight. Squib kick fielded by Swanising on the far sideline, and he's wrestled down. Gage Henry comes in to lay the wood, and with 8 seconds left in the half, Chillicothe will get the ball back.
Yeah, 6 seconds pop off the clock there. Looking at, according to the scoreboard down here, Chillicothe has 2 timeouts left. Remember, they used the one early, I think, where Coach just didn't like their focus at the beginning there early on, but nonetheless, they still have 2. So depending on what kind of call here, you possibly could get 2 snaps, or they might just go and take the knee and decide to play a second half football game.
It looks like that is what Chillicothe will do. As Tay Harris takes a knee, clock will wind down, and that will bring us to halftime from Miami Trace. Everything you could have asked for in this FAC opener, neck and neck, go Chillicothe and Miami Trace. And our score is tied at 14 as we head to halftime. You're watching Ohio High School football on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health.
It's me, Wednesday Addams. Your life just took a dark turn. I regret to inform you that I have devised the meal of misfortune with Wendy's. It's pure torture for your taste buds, with 4 nightmarish dips of dread. Don't waste my time asking which ones you'll get. You must surrender to your fate. Enjoy the anguish.
Are you looking for the best deals on quality used trucks and cars?
One very happy 16-year-old granddaughter. And 2 years since starting cancer treatment at Ohio Health.
Since 1853, Tomlinson Insurance has been protecting families, farms, and businesses in our community. As an independent agency, we offer personalized coverage for your auto, home, farm, and business, plus health and life insurance too. And we proudly partner with Erie Insurance to give you peace of mind with reliable coverage at competitive rates. Tomlinson Insurance, Let our history be your future. Call us today at 740-773-4181 or visit us at tomlinsonins.com.
Rathkamp Financial is a comprehensive financial services firm committed to helping our clients improve their long-term financial success. Our customized programs seek to grow, protect, and conserve our clients' wealth by delivering personalized service and expertise. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member, FINRA SIPC. Please call us at 740-775-1040 to schedule a consultation.
At Chillicothe Comfort Heating and Air, your comfort is our priority year-round.
Whether it's blazing hot or freezing cold, we've got your back with fast, reliable service you can trust.
Locally owned, honest, and done right the first time.
We have financing options available for every budget as well as 60 months 0% interest.
Call us today and feel the difference that comfort makes.
This broadcast is brought to you in part by Willie & Son Trucking. Willie & Son Trucking has been a proud supporter of local student-athletes, coaches, and athletic programs throughout its history. Be sure to look out for the Shack Athlete of the Week presented by Willie & Son Trucking each week at sosaohio.com.
Glo Fiber is now in Ohio. And with gig speed fiber internet, we're keeping things real. As in real, reliable speeds. Real people who really want to talk to you. Not to mention, real simple pricing. Switch to Glo Fiber today to get real fast, real reliable fiber internet and your first month free. Glo Fiber is here. Welcome to Glo-Hio. Call 1-833-WANT-GLO or visit glofiber.com to switch today.
Mark. 6 months of training. 8 miles to go. A 3-way tie for almost last place. And 3 years since he and his team at Ohio Health left cancer in the dust.
Experience the hometown Chevrolet difference. Check out our huge selection of Silverado trucks, Equinox SUVs, and the latest Chevy models. Priced to move and ready to hit the road today. Plus, with the Hometown Advantage, you get free oil changes for life and a 10-year, 150,000-mile limited powertrain warranty at no extra cost. That's real value and real peace of mind. Your Hometown Chevrolet is proud to be your trusted local dealer of new and pre-owned inventory, delivering unbeatable deals and top-notch service. Visit us today at 501 West Emmett Avenue in Waverly or start shopping online at yourhometownchevy.com.
For 175 years, the Glockner name has stood for trust. Today, that promise continues. Every time your family turns the key. Generations have trusted us for one reason. We never stopped caring. From preschool drop-offs to road trips, you leave our service center knowing your family is in the safest hands possible.
Tonight's soloists included Iana Nash on dance, Brooke Taylor, Damian Smith, and Theo Cochran-Hill on tuba, Hunter Robinson on baritone, and Lillian Brown and Dominique Riley on flag. The band performs in their next competition tomorrow at Valley High School. Let's hear it one more time for the Chillicothe High School Marching Cavaliers. Go Cavs!
Ladies and gentlemen, under the direction of Jordan Price and Emily Phelps, we proudly present to you the Miami Trace Marching Panther Pride. The Marching Panther Pride's major head coach is Kelly Evans. The color guard instructors are Teresa Disney and Jalen Carr. Our first tune this evening is a legendary dance tune from the King of Pop himself, Michael Jackson. Please enjoy as the Panther Pride plays Thriller. Next up, we have a special treat for you. The Marching Panther Pride is honored to invite the Miami Trace Alumni Band to perform the rest of our show tunes this evening. First up, it's the Pointer Sisters smash hit, Neutron Dance. fast. You know it, so stand up and sing it loud. It's the Miami Trace Fight Song. Finally, to close out tonight's performance, please rise if you are able.
Glow Fiber is now in Ohio. And with gig speed fiber internet, we're keeping things real. As in real reliable speeds. Real people who really want to talk to you. Not to mention, real simple pricing. Switch to Glow Fiber today to get real fast, real reliable fiber internet and your first month free. Glow Fiber is here. Welcome to Glow Ohio. Call 1-833-WANT-GLOW or visit glowfiber.com to switch today.
Mark. 6 months of training. 8 miles to go. A 3-way tie for almost last place.
Look good in these shorts, right?
And 3 years since he and his team at Ohio Health left cancer in the dust.
The Miami Trace Marching Panthers and the Miami Trace Alumni Band conclude our halftime entertainment tonight from Tony's Welding and Fabrication Stadium. Homecoming night at Miami Trace High School, and it's a good one. Miami Trace and Chillicothe knotted up at 14 apiece in this FAC opener. Carson Francis along with Shane Combs bringing you the action tonight. Kenneth Hay outside, man in the camera as usual. Shane, saw a lot of back and forth action in the first half. What did you like from the first 24 minutes?
Well, I thought both teams at certain times in the first half probably had some things they wanted to go to, try a little bit. Some worked, some didn't. Chillicothe in the first quarter, Miami Trace in the second quarter. I thought that was when both the teams respectively went to the bread and butter, and you could see what they look like at their very best. It was Carte Ligon with a big first quarter. He had the 40-yard touchdown run. But over the last 5 or 6 carries, Miami Trace kind of got him under control. He ended with 14 carries, 84 yards unofficially in that touchdown. Where over on the Miami Trace side, it was the slow start for Baker. He only had 3 carries for about 14 yards in the first quarter. But then he breaks loose, gets going a little bit more in the second quarter. He has 12 carries, 59 yards in the touchdown. I thought the big key was Miami Trace utilizing the quarterback Phipps a little bit on some of the ball handling. There was 5 rushes for 84 yards coming there off of some of those play fakes there, and that was huge yardage in the second quarter. And now Chillicothe has been able to throw it a little bit. Tay Harris is 7 of 11 for 53 yards in the touchdown. That came to Jeremy Kane, who made a nice play on a low ball that was thrown kind of down there in the red zone. Then they also had the 2-point throw there to Trace McAllister. Kane has 4 catches for 24 yards in that touchdown. Again, on the Miami Trace side, they've only been able to throw it twice. They had the interception, which was a huge play just in terms of momentum and basically stealing a possession, because if you remember, that came on the very first play of Miami Trace's second possession. And then obviously he had the 16-yard strike there to Jansen Smith down on the little quick slant that ended up setting up that second touchdown. So you add it all up, here we are 14-14. I think that's kind of what you and I talked about in the pregame. We thought it'd be a close game, a coin flip type of game, and that's kind of where we're at halfway through.
Yeah, and we talked about it in the open. We talked about it throughout the first half. We saw it throughout the first half. Really interesting to see how we knew Carte Ligon was going to be the center of attention for Chillicothe. We knew that Julian Baker would be the center of focus for Miami Trace. But it's been really interesting to see how both of these teams on offense have used their other weapons. We've seen Baron Phipps with the long touchdown carry for Miami Trace. Cooper Enix had a big run towards the end of the half. for Chillicothe, they've been able to throw it a little bit. They found Jeremy Kane for the touchdown. Trace McAllister had the 2-point conversion. These two teams are just getting creative with how they run their offense.
No, they really are, and I think that what they're doing also is they're trying to pace themselves a little bit into the second half. I think both coaches understood that this was going to be a second half type of game, and here we are going into the third quarter. Look for the team who can establish their run game early and play out in front. That'll be a big factor into the second half with some time of possession and kind of putting the pressure on the opponent. Miami Trace is going to get this ball to start the second half. It'll be interesting to see this first drive.
This is the opener for both teams in Frontier Athletic Conference play, and elsewhere in the FAC, we have some halftime scores for you. Jackson in control on Hillsborough, 34-14, the halftime score there. And then an interesting game down in Greenfield, Washington Courthouse, ahead of the McLean Tigers, 21-13.
Yeah, John and I talked on overtime this past week. The FAC has a lot more parity, a lot more strength to it this year. You know, obviously Miami Trace and Jackson still good football teams, but every other team has grown a year older, and they're way better. We're seeing it here with Chillicothe here in the early going tonight. We're also seeing it in some of those McLean scores. You and I had the Hillsborough team earlier in the year. We were really impressed with them, and obviously McLean, who's been off to a pretty competitive start as well. So, yeah, the FAC, I think there's going to be some really competitive matchups. Even that Jackson score you're reading off to me, Hillsborough getting 14 points on the board on them in the first half, shows their ability there on the offensive side to do some things.
Chillicothe next week, they'll face a Washington Courthouse team who is similar to them in the sense that they started out 0-2, looked very lackluster out of the gates, and then they had a big win over a regional power in Granville, a game that they were, I think, close to 30-point underdogs in, according to Fantastic 50. Like you said, the FAC top to bottom, no joke this year, no easy games.
No, it's not. And that Courthouse team, again, a year older, they have some outstanding skill kids. All of a sudden, the freshmen, sophomores become sophomore juniors, and they're out there on Friday night, and they've put on 10, 15 pounds of muscle, and they just look like different kids. So, yeah, that's going to be an exciting matchup. Every Friday night in the FAC, you're going to have some dynamic athletes on both sides of the ball.
This game also not just implications for the league standings, but also going forward in the playoff race as well. Both of these teams in Division III Region 12, the top 12 teams get into the postseason per region. Currently, Miami Trace standing at the number 4 seed. They would have the final bye in the playoffs should they start today. Chillicothe standing as the 10 seed. And if the playoffs were to start today, they'd be matched up with the Hillsborough Indians.
Well, and I think that bye is interesting because, look, let's face it, 10 weeks into a high school football season, some of your elite athletes might be just fine, but the average high school football player 10 weeks in, nobody's 100%, right? Nobody's healthy. So if you get an opportunity to step back, work on yourself a little bit, get a little healthier, and then figure out and scout your opponent, and then get into game week again. That's an interesting wrinkle they put there this year. I think that's a huge factor.
So back to this game tonight as FAC play opens up. Chillicothe and Miami Trace tied at 14 as we get set to start the second half. Miami Trace will receive as Julian Baker and Hayden Cornell, the two deep men for the Panthers. Lucas Wall, squib kick to start the second half. We're underway in the third quarter. This one returned by Jake Reinscheld down at the 45, and some favorable field position for Miami Trace to start.
Yeah, just as Chillicothe showed earlier on a kick, there's some good hands from one of the up guys and makes a nice play and outstanding field position for Miami Trace. You'll take the 45 every time.
This Miami Trace offense very lackluster in their first two drives. They were forced to punt and an interception, but their next two were both rushing touchdowns. look to replicate that success here and take the lead. 1st and 10 at the 45. It's a handoff to Baker. Baker navigating his way up for about a 4-yard gain.
Nice first down gain. What you want to look for here, Carson, as we move into the middle to end of the third quarter is the fatigue. Yeah, we talked about it as these backs start to get up in that 15-20 carry. Do they get stronger? How does the defense continue to fly to the football?
And remember, in that Waverly game, it was that first drive of the second half that really let Miami Trace start to pull away. Here's another handoff to Baker on 2nd down. Baker's got some room. Picks up a 1st down and then some. Tackled at the 40 by Jason Riley.
About a 12-yard gain, and just like that, 2 carries, 16 yards. You enter that 4-down territory, and if you're Miami Trace, you got to have a lot of discipline and making sure you stay penalty-free. If you're Chillicothe, you really got to try to win 1st down and see if you can bait them into doing something out of character.
Now 1st and 10 at the 39. Baker standing directly behind Phipps. They'll go to Baker again, and this time he runs right into a crowd. They're trying to push the pile forward, but they'll stand him up still after a gain of about 4.
Yeah, I was going to say that the near side officials got him all the way up there just shy of the 35. Yeah, we'll call it 36. Yeah, probably gain of 3. Good, strong run. Wasn't much there.
That's how we've seen Julian Baker wear defenses down, is he's known for the home run play, but he wears you down on those short chunk plays where they just keep feeding him. Now 2nd down and 7. They'll hand it off again. Baker on the misdirection. Baker stood up near the line of scrimmage and driven back by Jet McAllister and Truett McGlone. That's a duo that we've been saying hand in hand all night long.
Yeah, nice job. That's one of the best defensive plays of the night there for Chillicothe. As you said, those guys flying to the football give Scales and Sism and Trace McAllister some credit up front to get Jet McAllister and Truett McGlone able to flow to the football freely.
2 senior leaders, vocal leaders on this Chillicothe defense. They're looking for a big 3rd down stop. Here's a handoff to Baker. Baker through traffic, and he's stuffed. Gain of about 2, and that brings up 4th down for Miami Trace.
Yeah, certainly 4-down territory, so they try to get it in the 4th and manageable here, and pretty good job by Chillicothe. So now you force them into kind of a long 4, well, really 5. Be an interesting play call here for Miami Trace. I think you've got to watch Phipps, the quarterback, keeping it on a play fake.
4th and 4 at the 33. Pistol set for the Panthers. Phipps fakes the handoff, going for Smith on the slant. It's incomplete. And Chillicothe's defense bends, but it does not break. A turnover on downs, and the Cavaliers get the ball back.
Well, certainly there, just couldn't connect, and that's what I'm talking about when you're Chillicothe, when you were able to win that 2nd down run, compete again on the 3rd down run, you kind of bait them into something they don't really want to do. Again, Miami Trace doesn't really want to put the ball in the air. There they felt like they kind of had to. Had a guy in Smith open, just couldn't connect, and a good job from the Chillicothe defense. Now it's their turn to try to play out in front.
8:41 remaining in the 3rd quarter. This Chillicothe offense takes possession for the first time in the 2nd half. A big stop by that defense. Here's a 1st down snap and a handoff to Ligon. Ligon runs into a crowd and picks up about 2 on the carry. Ligon tonight's been getting a lot of those smaller carries. He's had the home run carry, of course, the 40-yarder for a touchdown, but I feel like Miami Trace has done a fair job of keeping him contained.
Well, he had 76 of his 84, well, now 86 yards, probably there in those first 7 or 8 carries.
The swing pass intended for Jeremy Kane goes through his fingertips, and quickly Chillicothe now faced with the big 3rd down.
Well, and really not in the 4-down territory, so a great opportunity for Miami Trace to respond. Harris has had some success in the passing game. Kane has been the favorite target here in the throughout the first half, I should say.
Harris in the shotgun by himself, trips to his right. 3rd down and 6. Harris dropping back. He's under pressure, and he goes down, and the ball comes out. It's recovered by Chillicothe, but a huge strip sack by the Panthers. Weston Doss with authority swings Harris down, and that brings up 4th down. Chillicothe to punt it away.
Yeah, just as we talked about on the podcast show, Dawes is one of those underappreciated guys, and right when his team needs him the most, comes up with a huge defensive play. And you talk about a field position type of play. If they're able to execute cleanly in their punt return game, they're going to get some nice field position.
13 yards, the loss on the play after the sack from Weston Doss. Harris to punt it away now, faces some pressure, and a short punt takes a Chillicothe bounce, and it rolls inside the 35. A decent job flipping field position by Taylor Harris, the punter.
No question, Carson. That's an outstanding punt at the high school level because, again, if you don't get a good one off there and he's able to come up and field one around midfield, that could be some trouble. But this honestly here gives Chillicothe defense a little room to play with.
These two teams have had their fair share of down-to-the-wire matches. 2021 and 2022, back-to-back times where these two teams went to overtime. 35-28 final for Miami Trace in 21. The same score in favor of Chillicothe in 22. Here's a 1st down handoff to Baker. Baker pushing his own pile forward. That'll bring up a gain of about 7 for Julian Baker.
Yeah, good physical finish. And this is the other thing we watched in the first half, Carson. Be aware of Phipps pulling that ball back as you start to just sell out in the middle on Baker the way they have here on some of these runs. You got to watch Phipps pulling it back and getting to that edge.
Call it 2nd and 2, a pistol formation for Miami Trace. Enix in the backfield. 2nd and 2. Phipps pulls it. He's going to keep it. Now a toss out to Enix. And watch out, Cooper Enix gets to the sideline, tries to cut it back, still on his feet. And he's still pushing his own pile. Very late whistle. And it lets Cooper Enix pick up a huge gain for the Panthers into enemy territory. Just a pure showing of grit and toughness by Cooper Enix on that play.
Yeah, it looks like a cramp here, but, man, that was just an outstanding effort and shows a little bit of that explosion to the outside. And can't say it enough. I talked about it in the first half. When you're able to show some of those different types of runs to the outside, it just starts to open that middle up for Baker a little bit. It's a complementary football run game where you got to be able to run it hard inside, but you also got to be able to do something to the edge to keep the entire defensive unit honest.
Cooper Enix, 6'3", 215, and it took a handful of Cavaliers to bring that much of him down. As Enix jogging off the field on his own power, good to see there. Cooper Enix, the senior, has a handful of Division I offers, including some local schools such as Bowling Green, Kent State, Marshall, Miami, and Toledo, to name a few.
Yeah, really good-looking athlete. He'll be just fine physically at the next level. What'll be intriguing to me, Carson, is to see in the next year or two what he ends up position-wise doing. He's got a lot of options there because of his great size and athleticism.
So a phenomenal baseball player for the Panthers as well. 1st and 10 at the 40. Miami Trace back in enemy territory. Under 6 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Phipps takes a snap. He tosses it out to Baker. Baker's got a few blockers, but doesn't get very far. And I say that after he picks up about 6 yards on the carry. Carte Ligon and Jason Riley both in on the tackle.
Yeah, I like the play call. We haven't seen much of that where he gets to the edge off of the pitch. Again, just gives the defense something else to look at, because you start to really cheat into the box right in between the tackles. There you get Baker to the outside now. Down in distance, really in the favor of Miami Trace. Let's see if they can convert first down-wise.
Another loaded backfield. Baker to the left of Phipps. Dawes to the right. 2nd and 3. Phipps keeps it himself. Phipps gets just enough for the first down. Phipps waited till the last possible second to pull the ball and run, and it moves the chain for the Panthers.
Yeah, I like the rhythm here, Miami Trace. 3 plays, 3 different guys carrying it. Sometimes giving it to Baker, but sometimes using him as a decoy just to kind of keep the defense honest. Certainly 4-down territory from this point on.
Miami Trace grinding out some time in its run game. This is what they like to do. Phipps keeps it himself, now swings it out. It's Enix. Enix makes a man miss and gets forward and slides, takes out a cheerleader. Thankfully, everyone looks to be okay.
Miami Trace, I know, had a one go against them on the other sideline. The Panthers, including the cheer squad there, wondering where the flag's at. They decide not to go with it. That's a unique option play where he's throwing it there a little bit. You know, I mean, it's one of those things where it's got a little bit of danger to it when he's throwing it behind, you know, but nonetheless, it's worked to the edge.
We'll call it a gain of 5 on the option run to Cooper Enix. Had 2 rushing touchdowns in the season opening win against Waverly. 2nd and 5. Phipps going to keep it again. Fakes the pitch to Enix, and this time he doesn't get very far. Truett McGlone read the option perfectly and brings Phipps to the ground.
You know, good job by the Chillicothe defense, but I liked his decision there because it wasn't there. You know, I mean, that's where you can really cause a turnover. You get that ball loose. He does a good job managing the option game. Still gets a positive gain out of it. You're still in good down and distance because obviously at this point in the field you're going to go for it on 4th down. So you have 2 plays here to get about 3 yards.
Call it 3rd and 3 from the 21. Panthers on the doorstep of the red zone. Here's a handoff to Baker. Baker up the middle, gets the first down, but stopped shortly thereafter by Carte Ligon. Touchdown saving tackle by the Cavaliers, but the Panthers will move the chains.
That's a big time job by the offensive lineman. You know, when you got Bernard, you got 30 Acre, you got Morton, and you got another Bernard, I should say, Eli and Matthew, and then, of course, Adam Guthrie. They're really doing a job up front there. That was really, really well blocked.
It's no secret that this offensive line, they've played together really well this year, and that's why they've allowed guys like Baker, Enix, Doss, Phipps to be able to run the ball so well.
No question.
Now 1st and 10 at the 14. Here's a handoff to Doss, his first carry of the night. He gets a modest gain of about 5.
And you start to notice a little bit of time of possession. You know, Miami Trace took that opening kickoff. Chillicothe was up to the challenge, but then it was a pretty short drive for Chillicothe, and here comes Miami Trace back and eating the clock up. You look up there, and you know, all of a sudden about 2:40 probably by the time they snap it.
Joe Reinscheld in the game as a second tight end for the Panthers. 2nd and 5 at the 9. Phipps is going to keep it. He gets to the outside, and he will walk into the end zone. Panthers have the lead for the first time tonight. A 2nd rushing touchdown for the sophomore speedster from 9 yards out.
Yeah, great feet, great vision. It just makes a little sidestep there at the point of attack, and from that point on it opened up, and he just sprints to the end zone, and Miami Trace with a chance here to add the point after to go up 7.
Baron Phipps playing with the art of deception. That defense had no idea what he was going to do with the ball, and that allowed him to walk into the end zone. Miami Trace rushing a lineman out there for the extra point. They're going to have to hurry to get this one off. High snap. Thorman's kick is up, and it's no good. A rushed extra point kick backfires for Miami Trace. And the lead remains at 6, but a 9-yard touchdown rush from Baron Phipps gives the Panthers the lead with 2:31 left in the third. You're watching Ohio High School football on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health.
Glo Fiber is now in Ohio. And with gig speed fiber internet, we're keeping things real. As in real reliable speeds. Real people who really want to talk to you. Not to mention, real simple pricing. Switch to Glo Fiber today to get real fast, real reliable fiber internet and your first month free. Glo Fiber is here. Welcome to Glo Ohio. Call 1-833-WANT-GLO or visit glofiber.com to switch today.
For the first time tonight, Miami Trace is in front of Chillicothe 20-14 after the 9-yard touchdown run from quarterback Baron Phipps, his second one tonight.
It really is, but man, don't overlook that last missed extra point. It looked like a lack of organization. They were rushing a guy on. It was kind of rushed. Chillicothe gets into the backfield a little bit, but that could come back and play a huge factor in a close game like this.
Matthew Bernard got onto the field with about 4 seconds left on the play clock, forcing the rush extra point kick. A line drive kick fielded by Sawanasingh, and he gets up near the 45. So Chillicothe starting in identical field position to where Miami Trace started the last drive. But Chillicothe's offense, ever since that explosive first quarter, they've just gone dead silent.
Yeah, they really have, and it gives Sawanasingh a lot of credit there on fielding that and getting the good field position. That goes a long way in helping the offense kind of get going. You know, looking at the leg of the Miami Trace extra points earlier, I would have almost taken the penalty and moved it back. I don't think the distance would have been a factor.
Here's a 1st and 10 swing pass to Jeremy Kane, and he gets leveled by Cooper Enix. Who else? Cooper Enix making plays on both sides of the ball, and he lets the crowd know about it on defense.
Give Kane a lot of credit, though. Pops right up, held on to the football, which is huge in terms of, don't want to turn it over here late third quarter, so give Jeremy Kane a lot of credit there.
2-yard completion to Jeremy Kane, 2nd down and 8. Here's a handoff to Ligon. Ligon breaks a double team, and he's got some room. Flag is down, but he's wrestled down past the 40. Looks like this one's coming back.
Back here around the 47-yard line. Chillicothe not happy with the call. Nonetheless, if it's where the flag is at, we're going to head on all the way back to probably the 37. It's going to set up a 2nd and long.
And that wipes away probably what was Ligon's best carry in a while.
Well, it goes back to what I said earlier. I know I write it down as a 10-yard penalty, but in reality, if you look at the result of the play, it's about a 25-yard penalty.
That'll make it 2nd and 17 for the Cavaliers. Harris rolling out to his left, fires for Kane downfield. It's through his hands.
Had him out there in the flat, just threw it behind him a little bit. Now on the 3rd and 17, and you're not really in the 4-down territory. This is where the penalty takes you out of your run game, and you can't really call the series the way your offensive coordinator would normally like to. Does that make sense? I mean, it just puts you in a place where it eliminates some of your playbook.
Now 3rd and very long for the Cavaliers offense. Tay Harris in the gun by himself. Kane in motion. Harris looking downfield for Ligon. It's caught. 1st down. Carte Ligon on 3rd and 17. An acrobatic catch to move the chains.
Yeah, that's a huge play. Star that one right there. It could end up being the play of the night. They were going to have to punt the football if that goes incomplete. Instead, now they go 1st and 10 at the 40. Huge play.
Now the Cavaliers hurry back to the line. It's 1st and 10 at the 40. Harris hands it off to Ligon. Ligon breaks free. Ligon's got some room. Ligon to the outside. And he will score. Touchdown, Cavaliers. Carte all day. Second 40-yard touchdown of the night.
Yeah, just like that on back-to-back snaps, he shows off his ability as a wide receiver. Then he does it as a running back. And what you were 1/3 and long away from getting the ball back on a punt with the lead. Instead, 2 plays later, you're looking up at a tied scoreboard, and if Chillicothe can execute in the kicking game, going to take the lead.
Lucas Walls out to kick the extra point. This to give Chillicothe the lead back. Low snap. The kick is away, and it is good. Walls splits the upright to give the Cavaliers a 21-20 lead with a minute left in the third quarter. We'll step aside quickly. You're watching Ohio High School football on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health.
Since 1853, Tomlinson Insurance has been protecting families, farms, and businesses in our community. As an independent agency, we offer personalized coverage for your auto, home, farm, and business, plus health and life insurance too. And we proudly partner with Erie Insurance to give you peace of mind with reliable coverage at competitive rates. Tomlinson Insurance. Let our history be your future. Call us today at 740-773-4181 or visit us at tomlinsonins.com.
Carte Ligon, the sophomore sensation for this Chillicothe team, finds the end zone from 40 yards out for the second time tonight and gives Chillicothe the lead back.
Yeah, I can't say it enough. I got it down in the notes here, and we'll look back here after another what should be an incredible fourth quarter of football to see if that's where the entire game was somewhat decided. But again, just to make sure you understand the significance of that third down pass play, if that ball's incomplete there, they're going to have to punt the football back to Miami Trace. They're going to have it with a minute to go in the third quarter and ahead.
A kick by Walls goes directly out of bounds. And Miami Trace will start their next drive at the 35.
Yeah, now if you're Miami Trace, you just got to go back to the offensive side and try to go down and put a drive together.
Yeah, we've seen what was similar to when Miami Trace played Waverly in week 1, where Waverly came out and scored right out of the half in the second half, and Miami Trace answered right back with the Julian Baker touchdown. Here, Miami Trace goes on a long drive, takes the lead, and then Chillicothe answers right back with a 40-yard rush from Ligon to take the lead right back.
And after that big pass play, when they did come back to the run game, you could tell almost that Miami Trace's defense was a little deflated. You know what I mean? Just from the way they defended that particular play.
1st and 10 at the 35 for Miami Trace. Phipps takes a snap, hands it off to Baker. Baker stuffed. The McAllister brothers tag team Julian Baker in the backfield. Loss of a couple yards.
Yeah, just momentum everywhere here for Chillicothe, and this is a little bit of danger time for Miami Trace. This clock's going to get into the fourth quarter. You hate to give the ball back to Chillicothe with them in the lead. I felt like leading into the fourth quarter was big in this matchup because of the ability of both teams to run it.
25 seconds left in the third quarter. Pistol set for the Panthers. On 2nd and 12, there's a handoff to Baker. Baker again goes down in the backfield, and this Cavaliers defense is fired up after back-to-back big plays. And they're going to carry this momentum into the fourth quarter. The final seconds wind down. And Chillicothe pumped up on the far sideline, a 21-20 Cavalier lead as we head to the final 12 minutes of this FAC opener. It's going to be a good one. Stick around for the fourth quarter. You're watching Ohio High School football on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health.
Richard. Countless nights in the garage. 8 shiny new pistons. One very happy 16-year-old granddaughter. And 2 years since starting cancer treatment at Ohio Health.
One quarter of play remains here at Miami Trace High School. It's the Chillicothe Cavaliers holding on to a 1-point lead on the undefeated Miami Trace Panthers. Shane, this is looking like it's going to be a photo finish, but Chillicothe's defense has made 2 big plays to start this drive, and they're looking for one more.
Well, it's hard. I don't know how you feel, but it's hard for me to sit here and think that the offensive big play followed by the touchdown run doesn't linger over into this drive as well. Now, if you're Miami Trace, the first play of this fourth quarter is going to be a 3rd and long. You're on the negative side of the field. Do they go to the pass game, which again, something hasn't really been in their character throughout the year, but just as Chillicothe did on a 3rd and long, Miami Trace needs to go into their passing game and see if they can convert.
An important 3rd down to start the third. Phipps dropping back to throw. He takes a shot for Baker. Wide open. Baker down the sideline. Stiff arms. Still going and down inside the 5. Julian Baker down the sideline and sets up Miami Trace on the doorstep of the end zone. Enix is down in the backfield.
Yeah, he's been fighting the cramps all night. I think that's what that is again. Where are they going to spot that down there, Carson, inside the 5?
Looks like it. They're going to spot the ball at about the 3.
So I've got that at about 63 yards then on that pass play. And what's so ironic is it's the same thing that Chillicothe just did, right? 3rd and long. What do? They go to their stud back, but they use him in receiver out of the backfield there, and they throw it for the big play. And now here Miami Trace is, and I think you and I are in for one of these fourth quarter, back and forth seesaw instant classic type of finish. This is going to be fun. Everyone, buckle up and take the ride with us here on Sosa.
Is that Phipps' first completion of the game?
No. He had the 16-yard quick slant to Jansen Smith to set up the first touchdown down here in the red zone.
But a second one just as important. Panthers at the 3-yard line can take the lead right back.
2 for 4 now for 79 yards unofficially. Did have the interception there in the first half.
Timeout Chillicothe as they look to regroup after the big play and also discuss how they want to defend down here at the goal line.
Yeah, no question. But go ahead and make a little note there too, Carson, because that could come back to haunt later. You get into these fourth quarters, these tight games, especially if you end up playing from behind. That could be a factor.
63-yard completion from Baron Phipps to Julian Baker. And if Miami Trace is able to score here, hold on, remember that play. That could go down as play of the night.
Oh, no question. I mean, like I said, it's a complete mirror image of the Chillicothe drive where you're facing the 3rd down in the passing situation. Chillicothe goes to Cartade Ligon in a receiving type of way. Then Miami Trace turns around, does the same with Baker. Now, on Chillicothe's side, they followed up that big pass play with a 40-yard run for Ligon to get to the end zone. Now, obviously, Miami Trace much, much closer here at the 3-yard line. Can Miami Trace execute and punch this in? And then I assume they'll chase that point and go for 2, and that'll be a big play as well. So a big sequence down here on the goal line, not just on this possible touchdown, but on that 2-point play as well.
We've talked off air about how Chillicothe's defense in the goal line has been able to hold its own on multiple occasions here. Can this Cavalier defense come up with one more big stop.
Beware of the ball handling of Phipps here. Obviously, the safe bet is Baker in between the tackles, which you never go wrong with that play call. But be aware of Phipps pulling it back and getting to the edge and trying to get in the end zone that way.
Jensen Smith out wide on the near side. First down, they hand it off to Baker. Baker's into the end zone. Touchdown, Panthers. Julian Baker finishes off the drive with a 3-yard touchdown run, and the Panthers retake the lead.
Huge play coming up right here. Remember, they missed the extra point early, and now the way this works is you end up chasing that point all night in these back-and-forth games. If you get the 2 here, all is well, and you're back on your 28 pace. But if you don't, again, it leaves that door ajar for the Cavaliers.
Enix and Baker in the backfield with Phipps on the 2-point try. Phipps takes a snap, hands it off. No, he keeps it, tosses it out. Enix gets to the corner and crosses the goal line for the 2-point conversion. Darren Phipps pitches it to Cooper Enix, and Miami Trace extends the lead to 7 on the 2-point try. 14 seconds into the fourth quarter, Miami Trace up 7. You're watching Ohio High School football on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health.
At North Fork Animal Clinic, we're more than your pet's health care. We're your neighbors. We combine top quality veterinary care with the availability you can count on, keeping tails wagging and pets thriving. And as proud supporters of youth sports in Southern Ohio, we're committed to helping our whole community grow strong. North Fork Animal Clinic, caring for pets, supporting our community.
14 seconds into the fourth quarter, Miami Trace wastes no time taking the lead right back. That was all set up by the huge play, the toss from Phipps to Baker to put Miami Trace down at the 3.
Yeah, can't say enough about the quarterback's ball handling and decision making. Does a real good job of reading that option, and that's a huge 2-point play to get Miami Trace that point back. And if you're Chillicothe, no panic time, 11:46, plenty of time. Down just 1 score. You just want to get good field position here. Let's see if they kick it short again.
Thorman out to kick. It's a squib kick again, fielded by Connor Bolin at the 30. Bolin gets upfield and a nice return of 10 yards. Put the Cavaliers at the 40.
You know, it is good field position. Both teams have had pretty good field position. I just think both teams are scared to kick it deep, for, you know, it's probably for fair reason.
This Cavalier offense has been jolted by the dynamic play of Carte Ligon. And now trailing once again. You see Ligon there, the spark plug for this Cavalier offense. Can they find another trip to the end zone? 11:41 left. Here's a toss out to Ligon. Ligon trying to dance, breaks a tackle, barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. Julian Baker and Jensen Smith on the tackle, no gain on the play.
Great job by Morton on that side. Baker all the way out there setting that edge, forcing him back into the help. Well done by the Miami Trace defense.
Here's second down. There's a handoff to Ligon. Ligon's going nowhere. Stopped at the line of scrimmage again. This time Enix lays him down, and it's 3rd and 10 for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, Enix has been impressive there on the defensive side. And last time we were at this 3rd down, they used Carte Ligon more in the receiving way. Let's see what they go with here.
3rd and 11. Harris dropping back, taking a shot down the field. It's caught. Trace McAllister hauls it in on the sideline, gets just enough for a first down.
Yeah, Chillicothe's had success in the passing game. Their pass protection's been outstanding. I know Dawes had the one big sack early, but for the really for the most part, they've protected Harris really well. He's had way too much time to throw, and he's had some success.
Chillicothe at midfield now, 1st and 10. Low snap. Harris had to get it up off the ground, and he keeps it himself. And Julian Baker flexes his muscles. He brings Harris down for a loss.
Yeah, just one of those little things. Just so many offenses, Carson, really at all levels, not high school, college, NFL, everything. They use more of the pistol shotgun. So over the course of, 40, 50, 60 plays in a night, you got to have the clean snap. Sometimes it doesn't work, and then they're obviously a costly one.
Called a loss of 6 after the tackle from Baker. Orbit motion from Ligon on 2nd down. Harris trying to throw. He flips it out to Ligon at the last second. Ligon trying to make something happen. He doesn't get very far. But a broken play for the Cavaliers. Gets him maybe 2 yards forward. Harris about to go down to the ground, flips it to Carte Ligon at the last second.
Well, that's about a 15-yard play there from where he was going to be sacked. At least makes it 3rd and a chance.
Now 3rd and 13.
Carson, see if they dial up a little bit more pressure here on the pass play.
Harris to throw on 3rd down. He's under pressure, throws to the sideline. It's incomplete. Extending past the reach of Carter Williams, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, they certainly did. Coach Dye on the defensive side there dialed that in, and we got one back here. Did they hit the quarterback late, or is that? Okay. Yeah, so a good stop for Miami Trace. Again, they did dial up a little bit more pressure, and I thought that gave the secondary a chance to be a little bit more aggressive as well. Now, if you're Miami Trace, as the clock is at 9:06, even if you don't fair catch this or whatever, even if you get away from it, the number one thing is that you come away with the football here. You cannot have a ball handling mistake on this punt situation on 4th and long.
Brown, the deep man for Miami Trace. Panthers will get the ball back. Chillicothe's running a fake. Here's Williams to throw. It's incomplete. A gutsy 4th down call from TJ Carper and the Cavaliers. Doesn't work that time. And now Miami Trace is going to have even better field position to put the nail in the coffin.
Well, they really are. You roll the dice there. We talked about Williams, the lefty. He's the up man. Remember, he was the one that was going to throw it on the trick play earlier. And, now if you're Miami Trace, you're licking your chops. You're going to go under 9 minutes here on this next snap. And you're starting this on the plus side, which you're not that far off 4-down territory. If you go down and get points of any kind, it goes a long way to putting this thing, I won't say away, but certainly in your favor.
1st and 10 in enemy territory. Baker on the carry. Gets driven back. Connor Bolin comes into the backfield and drops Baker for a loss. Connor Bolin had missed some time throughout this season with an injury. He's getting some playing time tonight, and he's made his presence known on multiple ends of the ball.
Huge play there. I mean, I always say you got to win 1st down, but he certainly did. Gives them a chance because let's face it, if Miami Trace gets it down inside the 40 on a short yardage, maybe you go for it on 4th down. If not, you'd have to probably punt the football if it's back here closer to midfield.
2nd and 13 right at midfield. Phipps hands it off to Enix, and Enix wrestled down again by Bolin. Connor Bolin read the option perfectly and takes on the big man Cooper Enix for another loss.
Probably the first time all night, Carson, that I disagreed with the ball handling decision. I thought he had an opportunity to pull that ball back and run it up inside. Nonetheless, they still have a 3rd and long, and let's just see if Miami Trace chooses to keep this on the ground and run this clock down and then trust their punt group to flip the field.
Miami Trace converted a big 3rd down on the last drive, 3rd and 17. Phipps to throw, going for Baker on the sideline again. It's caught. Baker, touchdown, Miami Trace. 54 yards. Second receiving touchdown of the night for Julian Baker.
No run the clock about it. Go ahead and run your best player down the sideline. Right up over the top, throws a strike. What great hands and great feet to stay in bounds, and 54 yards for the touchdown. And Miami Trace takes control of this thing at the 7:22 mark.
Shane, that was the exact same play call that Miami Trace ran on the last 3rd and long, where Baker set the Panthers up inside the 3. Thorman out to kick the extra point. It's a good snap. Kick is up and away, and it is good. Cam Thorman with the extra point to make it an even 14-point lead for Miami Trace. A 54-yard touchdown pass to Julian Baker extends it to 2 scores. You're watching Ohio High School football on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health.
Kimberly. Tons of practice. One chop away from a black belt. 7 of the best sidekicks. And 5 years since her cancer diagnosis at Ohio Health.
Shane, 2 drives in a row. Miami Trace face a 3rd and long. They go to Julian Baker on the wheel route, and he writes the story himself.
No, you're right. Once up the left side, that time up the right side. Give a lot of credit to Phipps. That's a really well thrown ball, and Baker shows off the hands there a little bit. Man, Baker and Ligon have certainly been as advertised tonight. These two are really special. Make some special plays here this evening.
Thorman to kick it away back to the Cavaliers. Fielded by Swanising at the 35. Gets upfield, driven back, and taken down at the 40. Combo tackle by Gabriel Carson and Joe Reinschild. And now if you're Chillicothe, it's really do or die time, because if you don't score, Miami Trace gets the ball back and they can just kill whatever time they want.
Yeah, 7:16 with 2 timeouts, Carson. I mean, you've got to go with some pace, a little bit of urgency, but there's certainly time to get 2 possessions here. So if you're Chillicothe, no matter how long this is going to take, you got to go figure out a way to get this ball in the end zone. You have a couple minutes here to still run your stuff.
Harris by himself in the shotgun. He's facing pressure already. Throws a pass complete to Ligon. Ligon taken down after a gain of about 9. Now starting to use Carte Ligon in the passing game a little bit. We saw him grab that big 3rd down play earlier, and they find him open on the spot route.
The 9 yards short of the chain. Notice how the clock continues to run. All of those are things that are going to start to add up here on this drive.
2nd and 1, Harris taking a shot downfield. It's Williams. He overthrew him. Incomplete. Takes a shot on 2nd and short. That makes it 3rd and 1.
Well, I love the play call because it was 2nd and 1. Go ahead and take your home run chance to try to get right back in this thing. Now you come back on the 3rd down. You have 2 plays to get 1 yard. You can move the chain. They'll stop it long enough to move it, and you should be right up on the ball ready to run your stuff.
3rd and 1 at the 50. McAllister motions. Bad snap. Is Ligon on the carry. He goes backwards. 2nd time we've seen a bad snap, a miscommunication from Chillicothe result in a loss. Ligon gets dropped for a loss of 5. It's 4th and 6.
They did give him some progress there, so not as bad as I originally thought. But man, that's you go from 3rd and 1 now all the way back to 4th and 6. This is almost 4th in the ball game.
4th and 6 for Chillicothe. McAllister motioning to the right. Harris rolling, swings it out. It's Ligon. Ligon's got to go the rest of the way himself, and he won't get there. And who else? Cooper Enix on the stop. An important turnover on downs for the Miami Trace defense.
Yeah, it really is. What a great job by the Miami Trace defense. You're at 6 minutes now. Chillicothe only has the ability to stop it 2 times. So now if you're Miami Trace, it's about ball security. You got to have clean snaps. You got to keep flags off the field, which would stop the clock. You've got to be able to run the ball. Make sure you tuck it away. Chillicothe defense is going to be trying to reach in there and rip the thing out.
1st and 10 at the Chillicothe 46 Miami Trace. Looking to put the icing on the cake in this FAC opener. Phipps keeps it himself, breaks 1 tackle, goes down for a gain of about 4 or 5 yards. They're going to try and let that clock run.
You know, Carson, you and I have complimented how hard they finish runs throughout the night. In my opinion here, it's not worth the extra yard, right? You want to be real careful trying to push those extra yards. It's more about ball security, because the longer you get, say you get stood up and they get more hands in there, the more chance of that ball coming out. So, again, that's something to watch in terms of the way Miami Trace finishes the runs.
2nd and 6 after the keeper from Phipps. 5:15 remaining. Phipps tosses it to Baker. Baker trying to work around his blockers, and he holds on to the ball, taken down at the line of scrimmage by Jordan Swanesing and Connor Bolin.
Pretty much no gain, but he did do a good job of I don't want to say quitting on the play, but recognizing he couldn't get any closer to the sideline. The last thing you can afford to do is go out of bounds. So now, clock still running. You want to try to take this down. The play clock there at the other end is what the quarterback's looking at. He's going to try to take it down under 5 each time to try to maximize how many ticks he can take off the clock.
3rd and 6. Phipps hands it off to Baker. No, he's going to keep it again. Phipps gets just enough for the 1st down. Dude, I'm having a hard time with Phipps pulling that ball at the last second. He does a great job at that. Fools me, and he fools the defense.
I was going to say, you and the Chillicothe defense both, right? And you couldn't do it any better. He snapped it right out 1. So now they put the chains in place. They'll start that clock again. It's going to tick under 4 minutes, and let's see if Miami Trace, good clock awareness. They should let another 15 seconds go off this thing before they snap it.
This is just what you want to see if you're Miami Trace. Up 2 scores late, just using up as much time as you can. They snap it with 3 on the play clock. Here's a handoff to Weston Doss. And Doss creates a pile, gain of about 2.
And that's what I'm talking about there. I know it's in their DNA. They almost love some inside contact on the physicality. You just got to be careful with ball security here.
This Miami Trace team just minutes away from their best start in a long time, 6-0 under 9th-year head coach Jerry Williams.
See how Chillicothe decides to use these 2 timeouts. If they can get a 2nd down stop, they might use one here.
2nd down and 7. Phipps is going to keep it himself, cuts back, gets about a yard on the carry, brings up 3rd down.
I think I would almost use one here. Just from my thinking would be if you use it on 2nd and 3rd down, the turnover on downs would get it back. They're going to go ahead and let it play out, which is going to take this all the way down to about 2:20 when they snap it here, Carson.
It'll be 3rd and 6, 2.5 minutes remaining here in this FAC opener. Phipps takes a snap, hands it off. It's Doss. Doss bursts out of a cannon. Gains about 3 or 4 on the carry, brings up 4th down. They'll call it 4th and 2. Now under 2 minutes here. Great clock management by Miami Trace on this drive.
Yeah, it really is. So you're going to take this down almost a minute and a half. Chillicothe electing to keep the timeouts in the pocket. So what they're thinking is they want to be able to get the stop here and then have the timeouts on the offensive side.
A 4th and 2. Miami Trace can put it away, and they will do it right there. The hard count draws Chillicothe offsides. That'll move the chains, and that'll all but seal it for Miami Trace.
Yeah, and of course a good hard count. And you know what's funny is we had several flags there in the first probably 8-9 minutes of the game. Then things got pretty clean there for about 2.5 quarters, and the flag kind of bites Chillicothe here, and Chillicothe can only stop it 2 times. Clock going to run 90 seconds to play here, and you know they could almost go to. In a 2-possession game, they could almost go to a knee. I'd say they'll probably still run it here, at least on 1st down, and see what they get.
I think they're still going to run that play clock all the way down to the final seconds.
Oh, yeah, they're going to go into a minute here. So, yeah, they could almost take a knee even with the 2 timeouts. Chillicothe might not even use them down in a 2-score game.
Now 5 seconds on the play clock. Phipps prepares to take the snap. He hands it off. It's Baker. Baker through traffic up the middle, wrestled down by a few Cavaliers. That'll keep the clock running. 10-second difference between play clock and game clock.
Impressive job for Miami Trace. Remember, go back a couple hours ago. They found themselves down 14-0, and they didn't panic. They come right back and get into the second half. And give Chillicothe credit. They're the ones that took control of the game momentarily there in the 3rd quarter, but Miami Trace comes up with some big plays in the pass game.
Victory formation for the Miami Trace Panthers. Phipps goes down to a knee, and that will wrap this one up for Miami Trace. They had to work for it, but at the end of the night, the Miami Trace Panthers are still unbeaten through 6 games in the 2025 season. 35-21, your final score from Tony's Welding and Fabrication Stadium. Miami Trace outlasting Chillicothe to keep the perfect record intact.
Outstanding performance from Miami Trace. As I said, I think what'll go a long way in their confidence. They not only come from 14 behind to tie and then go ahead, they then fall behind again and come back. And then Carson, with all of the attention the run game has been given throughout the year, and rightfully so, it's the pass game on a couple wheel routes that going to kind of highlight tonight's big 4th quarter scoring. And as a result, Miami Trace ends up 14 better on the scoreboard. But Chillicothe, really good football team, very much improved from a year ago. They're still have quite a bit in front of them to play for, including a winning season and maybe an outside shot still at the postseason.
Once again, your final score, 35-21 in favor of Miami Trace. We'll step aside and give our final thoughts on this one when we come back. You're watching Ohio High School Football on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health.
At North Fork Animal Clinic, we're more than your pet's health care. We're your neighbors. We combine top-quality veterinary care with the availability you can count on, keeping tails wagging and pets thriving. And as proud supporters of youth sports in Southern Ohio, we're committed to helping our whole community grow strong. North Fork Animal Clinic, caring for pets, supporting our community. This broadcast is brought to you in part by Willie & Son Trucking. Willie & Son Trucking has been a proud supporter of local student athletes, coaches, and athletic programs throughout its history. Be sure to look out for the Shack Athlete of the Week presented by Willie & Son Trucking each week at sosaohio.com.
For 175 years, the Glockner name has stood for trust. Today, that promise continues. Every time your family turns the key. Generations have trusted us for one reason. We never stopped caring. From preschool drop-offs to road trips, you leave our service center knowing your family is in the safest hands possible. 175 years of social proof that this isn't just service. It's a promise from our family to yours.
The Miami Trace Panthers claw their way to a 35-21 victory over Chillicothe. They start FAC play in the win column and keep their perfect season alive. They're 6-0 after tonight's win. Carson Francis, along with Shane Combs, with you from Tony's Welding and Fabrication Stadium on the campus of Miami Trace High School. Shane, a back-and-forth battle throughout most of the game. Miami Trace pulls away at the end thanks to some fireworks from Julian Baker, and that's the difference maker on the night.
Yeah, it's ironic that it comes down to the receiving of the two best players on the field tonight from an offensive skill position. In Carte Ligon and Julian Baker. The first momentum swing was for Chillicothe there, where they had the big pass play, and then Ligon follows it up with the 40-yard touchdown. It looked like Chillicothe had all the momentum in the world. They come out, they win first down, they win second down, and now it's Miami Trace's turn to go to the passing game. They hit the wheel route up the left side, and then, as you said, after the fake punt, set up great field position. They were forced to have a third down situation again, and there was no conservative play calling about it. They went to the pass game and threw it. If you take a look at the stats, I think that's what will jump out at you is pass play. Miami Trace only throws it 5 times on the night. They complete 3 of them, and obviously they had the 63-yard big pass play to Baker to set up the 1 touchdown down there close to the goal line. That was the Enix run on the option play, and then you had the 54-yard touchdown to Baker down the right side. So, again, you only put it in the air 5 times, you throw 1 interception, but nonetheless you come up with the 2 huge pass plays that you go. The stats that everybody's kind of interested in, these are all unofficial. It looked to me like unofficially I had Julian Baker getting up around the 26 carry mark. That last carry put him over the 100-yard mark. He found the end zone, 2 times on the ground and 1 more through the air. So an impressive night for him. And then obviously the quarterback Phipps also had a couple touchdown runs himself. But Carte Ligon had the big first half of 14 carries, 84 yards for a touchdown. Now, in the second half, it'll be interesting to see how they score that one play there at late in the game where it's kind of the broken play. If you give him that negative yardage, I had him right around the 120 mark, and I had him in the end zone 2 different times, I believe, tonight. Because Jeremy Kane caught the other touchdown from Harris, who I thought threw the ball pretty well tonight.
And we talked about a little bit how Miami Trace had been somewhat battle-tested in their games against Wilmington, Western Brown, Batavia. I'd say this game has prepared them for the rest of their schedule more than any of the other games that they've had up to this point. They were tested, they were in the face of adversity, and they responded. You couldn't have asked for a better response.
I think that's a great observation because I think they were facing different types of adversity at different times of the game, right? They fall down 14-0 here on homecoming night, huge crowd. There was no panic. They come back. Then didn't you feel at halftime that Miami Trace kind of had the momentum, they had the ball, and then all of a sudden it was Chillicothe who comes up with the real big play at late third quarter. And they're the ones that go down. They execute the point after. They find themselves up 1. And then again, as you just said, Miami Trace in a situation that they can really grow from later in the year. And I think they'll also take a lot from the fact of when – let's not kid ourselves. They're going to be a running football team the rest of the way out no matter how long this season goes. But don't you agree that they did find some confidence knowing that, hey, if we do have to dial up a pass play, we have some in our playbook that we can be successful with? Because I even thought the use of the tight end and so forth, they hit Smith the one time. I even thought on the 1 4th down play here that he was open. They just didn't connect on it. So I think some of these throws that the young quarterback's making is going to give him confidence. I think the passing game will continue to improve throughout the second half of the year.
Miami Trace at 6-0 now on the season. They will travel to Hillsboro to continue FAC play next weekend. For Chillicothe, it's right back here in Fayette County against a team that we were talking about at halftime, a really surprising Washington Courthouse team who you don't want to sleep on those Blue Lions.
Well, that's a huge rivalry game, as well as I do. Sometimes you just throw the records on out because you know that's going to be, it's going to be intense. It's going to be heated. Washington brings some outstanding skilled kids into the game, and but man, when you put Guthrie up there on front of that offensive line, and then you run Baker in behind him, it's so difficult. You got to throw the house at it to just contain it. And then what's interesting is off of that, their ability to run Phipps, to run Enix, to run Dawes, and all those other weapons. It's just Miami Trace really complete football team.
Before we head out tonight, we want to remind you that our Haynes Total Healthcare Coaches Call-In Show will begin tonight at around 9:45. John Bruce and Jeff Miller in our studio in Chillicothe. Don't miss out on the action from local coaches around the area. That is the Haynes Total Healthcare Coaches Call-In Show presented by Edward Jones. And then early on next week, Shane, you and John, as always, will have our weekly podcast, Overtime, presented by Perfection One. Always great to hear you guys' takes on a lot of local high school sports, what's going on around the area as well. I imagine we'll have a volleyball stream mixed in sometime next week.
The plan as of right now, had a really busy week this past week. You can go back and see a Circleville win over Logan Elm last night. I believe as of now we're off on Tuesday, so we'll have the podcast coming out probably late Sunday night, Monday sometime. We're off Tuesday. Thursday, Friday, we're going to have kind of a rivalry doubleheader with Zane Trace Uniota. So on the Thursday night, Dewey and I will be out at Zane Trace for that volleyball matchup. 24 hours later, you and I will be over at Uniota for what should be just an outstanding football matchup.
That's a great game to look forward to, as always. Another game that we've had penciled on our calendar all year long, the Pioneers and the Shermans at Uniota next week. One final time from here at Miami Trace. The Panthers are still perfect after a 35-21 win over the Chillicothe Cavaliers. From Kenneth Hay, our cameraman, and Shane Combs, I am Carson Francis. We thank you for tuning in to tonight's presentation of Ohio High School Football on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health. Enjoy the rest of your evening.